The first sound is the crash of the barracks door slamming against stone. Your eyes snap open in the darkness, body already tensing before your mind fully wakes. This is the training, 7 years of it carved into your bones and muscle until reaction comes before thought. Around you in the long wooden sleeping hall, 40 other boys stir on their hard pallets, breath misting in the cold mountain air that pours through the open doorway. Up! All of you, up! The voice belongs to Leontis, one of the elder warriors who oversees your unit. His silhouette fills the doorway, broad shoulders blocking the faint grey light of pre-dawn. You can smell him from here, leather and oil, sweat and iron. The smell of a man who has killed. Your bare feet hit the cold floor. The shock of it travels up through your legs, but you don't flinch. You learned not to flinch in your first year here, when you were 7 winters old and crying was beaten out of you with sticks. The scars on your back remember those lessons. Your body remembers everything. Form up. The command cracks through the air like a whip. 40 boys scramble to their positions, forming neat rows in the centre of the hall. You find your place in the 3rd row, 5th from the left, always the same position. Order. Discipline. These are the pillars that hold up Sparta, and they are driven into you like nails into wood. You stand naked except for the thin cloth wrapped around your waist. The cold bites at your skin, raising bumps along your arms and chest. Your ribs show. They always show. The agoge keeps you perpetually hungry, perpetually lean. A Spartan's strength comes from spirit, not from a full belly, the trainers say. You've heard it 1,000 times while your stomach cramped with emptiness. Leontis walks slowly between the rows, his sandals slapping against stone. He carries a torch now, and its flickering light paints shadows across faces you know as well as your own. These boys are your unit, your brotherhood forged in blood and bruises. You've trained together, bled together, stolen food together when the hunger became unbearable. Some of them you love more than you ever loved your own family, whom you barely remember. Your mother's face is a blur. Your father's voice is gone. This is your family now. Today, Leontis says, stopping at the front of the formation, the krypteia begins for one of you. Your heart kicks hard against your ribs. The krypteia, the secret thing. The trial that every boy fears and craves in equal measure. You know the stories. Every boy in the agoge knows them. They send you into the mountains alone. One day, one night. No food, no fire, only a knife and the skills they've beaten into you. You must survive the wild. You must evade the older warriors who hunt you as part of their own training. You must prove that you can become invisible, deadly, self-sufficient. Many boys don't come back. Some are killed by wolves or bears. Some fall from cliffs in the darkness. Some are caught by the hunters and punished so severely they never recover. And some, the whispers say, some simply break. They run deeper into the mountains and are never seen again, choosing death in the wild over returning to face more years of this brutal life. Step forward when I call your name, Leontis says. The hall is silent except for breathing. 40 boys, trying not to hope, trying not to fear. You've trained for 7 years for this moment. You're 12 winters old now, and your body bears the marks of every lesson. Scars from training weapons, burn marks from punishment fires, the crooked finger you broke in combat, and that healed wrong because no one set it. You are lean and hard as rope, fast as a hunting dog, and you know 17 ways to kill a man with your bare hands. But you're still a boy, and the mountains are vast and full of death. Nikolaos, Leontis says. A boy in the front row steps forward. You know him, quiet, methodical, good with a spear. He stands straight, chin up, trying to hide the fear. You can see it anyway in the tension of his shoulders. Leontis looks at him for a long moment, then shakes his head. Back in line. Nikolaos steps back, and you see the relief wash over him like water. Not today, he has more time. Demetrios. Another boy steps forward, another inspection. Another rejection. Your heart is pounding now. There are 40 of you in this unit, and only one will be chosen today. The odds are small. But you've seen 29 winters of seasons pass since you entered the agoge at 7, and you know your turn is coming. It has to come. Every boy must face the krypteia before he can advance in training. Alexios, your chest tightens. Alexios is your closest companion, your battle partner, your stealing food partner, the boy who held you down when the fever nearly killed you 2 winters ago and forced water down your throat until you lived. He's shorter than you but faster, and he has a smile that comes rarely but lights up like sun breaking through storm clouds. He steps forward. His face is calm, but you know him well enough to see the fear underneath. His hands are steady at his sides, but his jaw is tight. Leontus studies him. You've done well in training. Yes, sir, you're fast, smart. You survived the blood games last month. Yes, sir, the blood games, you remember. They put your unit against another unit in the training yard with wooden weapons and told you to fight until one side couldn't stand. Alexios took a blow to the head that split his scalp open, blood pouring into his eyes, but he kept fighting. You all kept fighting. That's what Spartans do. Leontus nods slowly. You'll make a fine warrior. Hope flickers in Alexios' eyes. But not today, Leontus says, back in line. Alexios steps back, and you see him exhale slowly. Relief and disappointment mixed together. More names. More boys stepping forward and back. The sky outside is growing lighter, shifting from black to deep blue. Dawn is coming. Your legs are tired from standing, but you don't move. Moving without permission earns a beating. Theron. Your name. Your name cuts through the cold air and pins you in place for a heartbeat before your body responds. You step forward, leaving your position in the 3rd row. The stone is rough under your bare feet. You can feel every eye on you now. 40 pairs of eyes from your brothers, plus Leontus's dark gaze studying you like you're a weapon he's considering for battle. You stand straight, chin up, eyes forward. Everything the agoge has taught you compressed into your posture. Leontus walks slowly around you, torch held high. You can feel the heat of it as he passes close. The light throws your shadow long and thin against the wall. How many winters? He asks. 12, sir. How long in the agoge? 7 years, sir. Scars? You know what he means. He wants to know if you've earned your marks. 17 on my back from discipline, 4 on my chest from combat training, 1 on my left thigh from the wolf hunt last spring. That had been a group exercise, tracking and killing a young wolf in the foothills. The beast had fought hard before it died. Your thigh still aches when the weather turns cold. The wolf hunt, Leontus repeats. You took the beast's ear as trophy. Yes, sir. You still have it, dried and hard, tucked under your sleeping pallet. Good. He comes around to face you directly. His eyes are like chips of flint. You're small. Yes, sir. There's no point denying it. You're among the smallest in your unit, always have been. Small means weak. No, sir. This is a test. Everything is always a test. Small means fast. Small means invisible. Small means underestimated. The corner of his mouth twitches. It might be approval. It's hard to tell with the trainers. They don't give praise easily. You steal food well, he says. You keep your face neutral. Stealing food is both forbidden and expected, a contradiction that teaches resourcefulness. Boys who get caught are beaten. Boys who don't steal at all starve. You've been caught twice in 7 years. That's a good record. Yes, sir. You fight dirty. Yes, sir. Another lesson. Honor in battle, but survival by any means in the wild. You can track. Yes, sir. Deer, boar, wolf, man. I can follow a trail 3 days old. Kill? Yes, sir. You've killed animals. You've killed helots, the slave class, during training exercises when they were given to your unit as practice targets. The first time your hand shook so badly you could barely hold your knife. Now they don't shake at all. Leontus nods slowly. He turns to address the entire hall, but his words are clearly about you. This boy has survived 7 years of training. He's small but vicious, fast but careful. He knows pain and doesn't break under it. He knows hunger and doesn't weaken. He knows fear. He pauses, looking back at you. You do know fear, don't you, boy? Yes, sir. Only a fool claims to be fearless, and Sparta doesn't train fools. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Fear keeps you alive. He raises his voice so every boy can hear. But fear that controls you makes you weak. Fear that serves you makes you dangerous. He steps closer to you, so close you can see the old scars on his face, the grey threading through his beard. This is a man who has seen battle. Real battle, not just training. This is a man who has stood in the phalanx and felt enemy spears trying to find the gaps in his shield. Today, he says quietly, just to you now. You go into the mountains. The words fall on you like stones, heavy, final. You'll be given a knife. Nothing else. No food, no water skin, no cloak. You'll survive from sunup today until sunup tomorrow, one full day and night. You'll be hunted by our older warriors as part of their training. You'll be hunted by wolves, by bears, by the mountain itself. If you're caught by the warriors, you'll face punishment. If you're killed by beasts, you'll be mourned and forgotten. If you survive, he pauses. If you survive, you'll take one step closer to becoming what Sparta needs you to be. Your mouth is dry, your heart hammers against your ribs like it's trying to escape, but your voice is steady when you speak. Yes, sir. Go prepare. You leave at first light. He turns away, dismissing you. The rest of the unit is dismissed as well, breaking formation, but you feel them watching as you walk back to your pallet. Alexios catches your eye and gives you a tiny nod. Encouragement, brotherhood, fear for you. You nod back. You have perhaps a quarter hour before dawn breaks fully. You use it to wrap your feet in strips of cloth. Not much, but better than nothing for the mountain rocks. You drink deeply from the water barrel by the door, filling your belly until it sloshes. It won't last long, but it's something. Alexios appears beside you. He doesn't say anything at first, just stands there. Then quietly, the caves on the eastern slope, you remember? You remember. Last year your unit did tracking exercises in those mountains. There are shallow caves where a boy could hide if he's clever about it. I remember. The older ones, the hunters, they'll expect you to go high, to try for the summit. So I go low, you say? Maybe. Or maybe you go high anyway because you'll think they'll expect it. He almost smiles. It's all a game of minds, a game where I die if I lose. Don't lose. He grips your shoulder hard, his fingers digging in. It's the most affection you'll get in this place. Come back, I need you here. I'll come back, you don't know if it's true, but you say it anyway because that's what brothers do. The sun is breaking over the eastern mountains when Leontis leads you to the gate. The city is just beginning to wake, smoke rising from cooking fires, the distant sound of the blacksmith's hammer, women moving through the streets with water jugs balanced on their shoulders. Sparta is not beautiful. It has no grand temples like Athens, no impressive walls. Sparta is functional, hard, built for war and nothing else. You're wearing only your cloth wrap and the foot bindings. The knife they give you is short, single-edged, the kind made for close work. The handle is wrapped in leather gone dark with old sweat and blood. It's been used before, many times. The rules, Leontis says as you stand before the gate. A small crowd has gathered, other trainers, some older warriors, a few boys from younger units watching with wide eyes. They're seeing their own future in you. Survive until dawn tomorrow. That's one full cycle of sun and moon. Do not approach the city. Do not approach any village or farm. You are alone. Hunt, hide, evade, survive. The older warriors will enter the mountains at midday. They'll be hunting you until dusk. After dark, you're on your own with the beasts. He looks at you hard. Some boys think being caught by the warriors is better than facing the wolves alone at night. Those boys are wrong. The punishment for being caught is worse than anything you faced in training. You believe him. You've seen boys return from the krypteia who were caught. They're never quite the same after. Questions? No, sir. Good. He steps aside. The gate stands open before you. Beyond it, the dirt road leads out of the city, toward the foothills, toward the great Taygetus Mountains that loom like giants in the morning light. Go. You walk forward. Your legs feel strange, like they belong to someone else. With each step you leave behind the only world you've known for 7 years, the brutal, painful, bloody world of the agoge that has shaped you into this weapon walking on 2 legs. Behind you, you hear Alexios's voice, barely a whisper. Come back. You don't turn around. Spartans don't look back. You walk through the gate and into the wild, where wolves wait and older warriors sharpen their hunting skills, and the mountain has killed stronger boys than you. The sun climbs higher. The city falls away behind you. You are alone now. The trial has begun. Chapter 2. Morning Departure. Leaving everything behind. The road beneath your feet turns from packed earth to loose stone as you leave Sparta's boundary behind. You can still feel the city at your back, the weight of it, the pressure of all those eyes that watched you walk through the gate. But you don't turn to look. That would be weakness, and weakness has no place in what you're about to face. Instead, you focus forward, on the rising sun painting the eastern peaks in shades of gold and red, on the path that leads upward into country you know only from training exercises and stories told in the dark. The morning air is cool against your skin, carrying the scent of wild thyme and pine. Your bare feet find their rhythm on the uneven ground. 7 years of running these hills have taught your body to read terrain without conscious thought. Sharp rock here, avoid it. Smooth patch there, safe to land. Your toes grip and release, carrying you steadily away from everything familiar. The knife hangs at your waist on a cord of twisted leather. You can feel its weight with each step, a small comfort. It's not much, barely longer than your hand from wrist to fingertip, but its edge and point and purpose. You've trained with blades since you were 8 winters old, learning first on wooden practice weapons that left bruises, then graduating to bronze that drew blood. This knife is iron, harder than bronze, sharper. It will cut flesh and sinew. It will pierce hide. Whether it will be enough against what waits in the mountains, that remains to be seen. The sun climbs higher as you walk. You've been moving for perhaps an hour now, following the main track that leads toward the foothills. The valley spreads around you. Olive groves to your left, their twisted trunks ancient and gnarled, their leaves silver green in the morning light. To your right, the land slopes down toward the river, where you can see small farms dotting the landscape. Helot farms worked by the slave class that served Sparta. You can make out tiny figures moving in distant fields, beginning their day of endless labor. You were taught not to think of helots as people. They're tools, resources, necessary but lesser. But you remember the one they gave your unit last year for tracking practice? He was old, maybe 50 winters, his back bent from decades of work. When you and your brothers finally cornered him in a ravine, when it came time to finish the exercise, you saw the look in his eyes. Fear, yes, but also resignation. A deep tiredness that went beyond the body into something else. You were the one who made the kill, quick at least. A single strike to the throat like you'd been taught. He died fast, and you told yourself it was mercy. You don't know if that's true. The track begins to climb more steeply now. You're leaving the valley floor, entering the foothills properly. The vegetation changes, fewer cultivated trees, more wild growth, scrub oak and pine beginning to appear, their roots gripping the rocky soil. The air smells different here, wilder. Less like civilization, more like the deep country where men's laws don't reach. Your stomach growls, a hollow ache that's already familiar. You ate yesterday evening, a thin barley porridge, barely enough to coat your stomach. That was 16 hours ago, and your body knows it. But hunger is an old companion, you've lived with it for 7 years. The agoge keeps you always hungry, teaching you to function with an empty belly, to fight and run and think clearly even when your body screams for food. Still, this is different. This isn't controlled hunger in the barracks where you know, even if it's not enough, that food will come at the evening meal. This is the wild, and you're truly on your own. You'll need to find water first, before anything else. A man can live weeks without food, but only days without water. And exertion in the mountains, with the sun beating down, you'll need to drink before midday or risk weakness. The terrain steepens. You're climbing now in earnest, your breath coming harder, your legs burning with the effort. The muscles in your calves and thighs have been hardened by years of forced marches with full packs, by endless running drills, by exercises designed to push you past exhaustion into something beyond. Your body knows how to suffer and keep moving. This is what Sparta has made you, a machine that functions through pain. You pause at a switchback in the trail to catch your breath and look back for the first time. Sparta sits in the valley below, smaller now, its buildings reduced to tiny blocks of white and brown. You can see the shape of the city, the training grounds where you've spent 7 years learning how to hurt and be hurt. The barracks where you slept last night, where Alexios is right now, probably being drilled in spear work or unarmed combat, probably thinking about you up here in the mountains alone. The thought of Alexios makes your chest tight. Not fear for yourself, you've moved beyond that into a strange calm, but something else. Connection, maybe. The knowledge that someone cares whether you return. In the agoge, affection is weakness, friendship is discouraged, love is beaten out of you. But it grows anyway, like weeds through stone, because humans are made to bond, and not even Spartan brutality can fully crush that need. You turn back to the mountain and keep climbing. The sun is higher now, maybe 3 hours past dawn. You've been walking steadily upward, and the air has grown thinner, cooler. Pine trees surround you now, tall and straight, their needles carpeting the ground and muffling your footsteps. This is good, quiet movement, is survival. The old warrior who taught you tracking, a scarred veteran named Brasidas, drilled it into you. The forest has ears everywhere. Every snapped twig announces you. Every displaced stone tells your direction. Move like smoke. Leave no trace. You're trying. Each foot placed carefully, weight distributed, testing before committing. Your eyes scan constantly, not just ahead but to the sides, behind. The older warriors will be coming at midday. That's still hours away, but they're not stupid. They might send scouts early, or they might have already been placed in the mountains last night, waiting. You have to assume you're being watched, always. A sound freezes you mid-step. Water. Running water, somewhere ahead and to the left. You move toward it slowly, keeping to the shadows under the pines. The sound grows louder. A stream, maybe, or a small creek. Your throat is dry despite the water you drank before leaving, and your body craves more. But water sources are dangerous. Animals come to drink. Hunters know this. If you were setting an ambush for a boy in the mountains, you'd watch the water. You approach carefully, using the trees for cover. The stream reveals itself gradually. A thin ribbon of clear water running over smooth stones, maybe 10 paces across at its widest point. The banks are muddy, showing tracks. You freeze again and study them. Deer. Several sets, probably from this morning. And there, a larger print, round pad with claw marks. Dog? No, too big. Wolf? Your heart kicks faster. The print is fresh, maybe an hour old. The wolf came to drink and moved on, but wolves don't travel alone. They hunt in packs, especially in these mountains where game is plentiful. Where there's one, there are others. You scan the forest around you, but see nothing. Hear nothing except the water and the wind in the pines and your own breathing. You need to drink. Thirst will kill you as surely as wolves. You move quickly to the water's edge, kneeling in the mud. Your hands cup the cold water, bringing it to your mouth. It's shockingly cold, fresh from the mountain heights, and it tastes of stone and earth and something clean that the city water never has. You drink deeply, filling your belly, feeling the liquid spread through your body like life itself. Movement catches your eye upstream. You're up and moving before conscious thought, knife in hand, body low. Your heart hammers. Did you see something? Or is your fear making shadows into threats? There again. A flash of grey between the trees, maybe 50 paces upstream. Wolf. No, not wolf. Too upright. Man. One of the hunters already? But it's not midday yet. They're not supposed to start until... The thought stops as you realize how foolish it is. They're not supposed to start until midday. That's what Leontes said. But this is Sparta, and this is training, and nothing is ever what it seems. They lie to you constantly, test you constantly, change the rules to see how you adapt. Of course they sent hunters out early. Of course they're already in the mountains. You move away from the stream, deeper into the forest, trying to keep the trees between you and whatever you saw. Your mind races. If they're already hunting, you need to change your plan. You were going to head for the eastern slopes, toward those caves Alexios mentioned. But if they're already positioned, they'll expect that. They'll have studied the same terrain, know the same hiding spots. So go somewhere else. Somewhere unexpected. Somewhere dangerous. The high peaks. The real mountains where the air is thin and the climbing is treacherous and most boys wouldn't dare to go. Yes, that's where you'll go. You angle your path upward, leaving the stream behind. The terrain grows rough, a loose scree that slides under your feet, exposed rock faces that require careful climbing. Your hands and feet find holds, your body remembering lessons in climbing from training exercises on the cliffs below the city. Don't look down. 3 points of contact always. Test each hold before trusting your weight to it. The sun is past its peak now, beginning its slow descent toward afternoon. You've been climbing for hours, and your legs shake with exhaustion. thirst has returned, a dry scraping in your throat. You passed another small stream an hour ago but didn't stop, couldn't risk it with the hunters somewhere behind you. The forest has changed. The pines are smaller up here, stunted by wind and cold. Patches of snow cling to shaded hollows, remnants from last winter that never fully melted. The air is thin enough that your breathing comes hard, each breath feeling insufficient. You're above the tree line now, or nearly so. The mountain stretches above you, bare rock and snow, the summit lost in clouds. Below, the valley spreads out like a map. You can see Sparta, tiny and distant. You can see the pattern of farms, the river cutting through the landscape, the foothills rising like waves of earth. And you can see movement, small figures dark against the green and brown of the forest below. The hunters, at least 4 of them, maybe more, spread out in a search pattern moving upward. They're looking for you. You're ahead of them, but not by much. And you're running out of mountain. The slopes above are too steep, too exposed. You need shelter, a place to hide and rest, somewhere you can make it through the night. A hawk circles overhead, riding the thermal currents, and you watch it for a moment with something like envy. To fly, to simply leave the ground behind and all its dangers. But you're not a hawk. You're a Spartan boy, 12 winters old, alone on a mountain with wolves below and hunters climbing toward you and night coming on fast. You keep climbing. The sun is noticeably lower when you find it. A crack in the mountain face, partially hidden behind a tumble of boulders. Not quite a cave, more like a deep crevice, but it's shelter. You squeeze inside carefully, testing for snakes or other creatures that might have made it home. Nothing. The space is narrow but goes back maybe 3 body lengths, deep enough to hide you from casual view. You settle in, your back against cold stone, and finally let yourself breathe fully. Your body aches everywhere, feet cut and bruised from the rocks, legs trembling from exhaustion, hands scraped raw from climbing. Thirst burns in your throat like fire. Hunger is a constant gnawing presence. But you're alive, you've made it through the day. The sun is perhaps 2 hours from setting, then comes the night, the wolves, the cold, the real test. You close your eyes for a moment just to rest them and think of the barracks. Of Alexios and the others probably finishing evening meal right now. Thin porridge, but at least it's food. At least it's warm. At least they're together. You're alone. This is what Sparta demands, that you prove you can stand alone, survive alone, be sufficient unto yourself. No help, no comfort, no mercy. Just you and your training and your will to continue. You open your eyes and check the view from your hiding spot. The hunters are still below, but they're spreading out, some moving around the mountain's flank, cutting off escape routes. They're good, experienced. This isn't their first hunt. But you're small, like Leontas said. Small means invisible. You press yourself deeper into the crevice and begin your wait for darkness. The temperature drops as the sun sinks lower. The sweat on your body turns cold and you begin to shiver. The thin cloth wrap provides almost no warmth. Your body heat is leaking away into the stone at your back, and there's nothing you can do about it. No fire means smoke. Smoke means discovery. You have to endure the cold the same way you've endured everything else. Through willpower, through stubbornness, through the absolute refusal to break. The sky bleeds from blue to orange to deep purple. The first stars appear brilliant and cold. The hunters' movements below have slowed. You can see a fire. They've made camp for the night, the cowards. They get warmth and probably food while you freeze in your stone crack. But making that fire also means they've given up the hunt until morning. They're assuming you'll stay hidden through the night, that you won't risk moving in the dark. Maybe they're right. Or maybe that's exactly what you should do. Move while they sleep, put more distance between you and them. But the wolves hunt at night, as if summoned by the thought you hear it. Distant, but unmistakable. A howl rising from somewhere in the forest far below. Then another, answering the first. A conversation in wolf speech, the pack calling to each other. Your hand finds the knife at your waist, gripping the handle until your knuckles ache. The howls continue, and you try to judge distance and direction. East, you think, maybe a mile away, maybe less. Hard to tell how sound carries in these mountains. The night deepens, the cold intensifies. Your body shakes uncontrollably now, muscles seizing and releasing, trying to generate heat. Your teeth chatter despite your efforts to keep them still. This is dangerous, you know that from lessons. Exposure kills. Men have frozen to death in temperatures warmer than this. You have to move, have to generate heat. But moving means leaving this shelter, and leaving shelter at night in the mountains. Another howl, closer this time. The decision is made for you. You squeeze out of the crevice, every muscle protesting. Standing upright, you begin to move your arms and legs deliberately, forcing blood to flow, forcing warmth. Your breath clouds in the starlight. The mountain face stretches above you, black against the starfield. Below, the hunter's fire glows like a tiny ember. You start moving along the mountain's face, staying high, keeping to the rocks. Your feet are numb, which is both blessing and curse. You can't feel the pain anymore, but you also can't feel the holds as well. You move by touch and memory, finding your way in the darkness. The howls have stopped, which is somehow worse than when you could hear them. Now you don't know where the pack is, what they're doing, whether they've caught your scent. Hours pass in cold darkness. You keep moving, partly for warmth, partly to put distance between yourself and the hunters below. The stars wheel overhead. The moon rises, half full, casting silver light across the peaks, and in that moonlight you see them. 5 shapes, flowing like liquid shadow across the rocks below you. Wolves, bigger than the ones you've seen in training. Mountain wolves, thick-furred and heavy, moving with purpose. They're tracking something. And with a spike of cold terror you realize they're tracking you, your scent on the rocks, your blood from your cut feet. The pack has found your trail and they're following it upward, toward where you huddle on this exposed mountain face. You look around frantically. The crevice you left is too far behind. There are no trees up here to climb, nothing but rock and more rock, and the long deadly drop to the valley floor. The wolves are maybe 200 paces below and closing. Your hand finds the knife, and you know with absolute certainty that it won't be enough. Not against 5 wolves, not in the open like this, but you're Spartan, and Spartans don't die easily. You plant your back against the mountain face and raise the knife, watching the shadows flow upward toward you, hearing the soft panting of their breath and the click of their claws on stone. The lead wolf is a massive grey female, her eyes catching the moonlight like coins. She sees you and stops, maybe 30 paces away. The pack spreads out behind her, forming a semicircle, cutting off any escape. You meet the female's eyes and bare your own teeth, making yourself as big and threatening as possible. It's theatre, you're tiny compared to these beasts. But it's all you have. The female watches you for a long moment. You can see her calculating, deciding. One boy, alone, wounded. Easy prey. But also one boy with a knife, backed against stone, nothing to lose. The standoff stretches. Your heart pounds so hard you think it might burst. Your hands shake from cold, from fear, from exhaustion. But you keep the knife steady. Then, from far below, a new sound, men's voices. The hunters, awakened by the wolves' silence maybe, or by some other disturbance. You can see lights moving torches. The female wolf's ears swivel toward the sound. She looks back at you once more, then turns and melts into the darkness. The pack follows, flowing down the mountain like smoke, gone as quickly as they appeared. You stand there shaking for a long time after they disappear, knife still raised, body still flooded with terror. You're alive. Still alive. The sky is beginning to lighten in the east, just barely, the faintest grey touching the black. Dawn is perhaps an hour away. You've made it through the night. 1 more hour. That's all you need. 1 more hour until the trial ends and you can walk back down to Sparta and the barracks and Alexios and everything familiar. 1 more hour. You lower the knife and begin to make your way down the mountain, toward home, toward survival, toward proof that you can endure anything. The sun breaks over the eastern peaks as your feet touch the valley floor. You've survived. Chapter 3. The Climb. Entering the Wild. The descent takes longer than you expected. Your legs, which carried you up the mountain with fear-driven strength, now threaten to collapse with every step down. The muscles shake uncontrollably, cramping and releasing, barely responding to your commands. Your feet are worse cut and swollen, each step sending sharp pain shooting up through your ankles and calves. When you pause to look at them in the growing dawn light, you see they're bloody and torn, the cloth wrappings shredded to useless rags. But you're moving. You're alive. That's what matters. The sun climbs higher as you pick your way down through the rocks and stunted pines. The valley spreads below you, Sparta visible now in the distance. You can see the training grounds, small as a child's toy. Soon you'll be back there. Soon this will be over. The thought fills you with relief so intense it makes you lightheaded. Or maybe that's the exhaustion, or the thirst. Your tongue feels thick and swollen in your mouth, your lips cracked and bleeding. You haven't had water since yesterday at the stream, and your body is screaming for it. There. Another stream ahead, cutting through a rocky gorge. You can hear it, the sound of running water like a promise. You half stumble, half slide down the slope toward it, caution abandoned in your desperate need. Your hands plunge into the cold water, bringing it to your mouth in great gulping swallows. It's so cold it makes your teeth ache, but you don't care. You drink and drink until your stomach is painfully full, then splash water on your face, feeling it wash away the grime and dried blood. Only then do you notice the tracks. They're everywhere in the soft mud of the stream bank. Deer, boar, smaller animals you can't identify. And there, those round pads with claw marks. Wolf tracks, many of them, some fresh from this morning. This is a crossing point, a place where animals come to drink, where predators wait for prey. You should move, should get away from here immediately, but your body won't respond. The water has filled your belly, and with it comes a crushing wave of exhaustion. You've been moving for nearly a full day and night without rest, without food, driven by fear and determination. Now that you're close to safety, now that the immediate danger seems past, your body is demanding payment for what you've put it through. Just a moment. Just rest for a moment. You lean back against a smooth boulder beside the stream, intending to close your eyes for just a few heartbeats. You wake to the sound of breaking branches. Your eyes snap open, heart immediately racing. How long were you asleep? The sun has moved. It's higher now, maybe mid-morning. You've lost time, precious time. The sound comes again. Something large moving through the forest upslope from you, not bothering with stealth. Crashing through undergrowth, heavy footfalls. You're on your feet instantly, knife in hand, scanning the trees. Your body protests every movement, muscles stiff, joints aching, feet screaming in pain. But adrenaline overrides it all. There. Movement between the pines. A shape, massive and dark. Not wolf. Too big. Two. The boar explodes from the tree line. It's enormous, easily 3 times your weight, all muscle and fury and curved tusks that gleam yellow-white in the dappled sunlight. Its small eyes fix on you with single-minded aggression, and you have just enough time to realize you're standing between it and the water it came to drink. The boar charges. You dive sideways, rolling on the rocky ground, feeling stones tear at your already damaged skin. The boar's momentum carries it past you, its hooves throwing up mud and water as it reaches the stream. It whirls with shocking speed for something so large, squealing, a sound that's part rage, part challenge. You're scrambling backward, knife held out uselessly. The weapon that seems sufficient against wolves looks like a toy compared to this creature. Those tusks could gut you with one upward slash. That bulk could simply trample you into the mud. The boar paws the ground, head lowered. It's going to charge again. Your mind races through options. Run, no, it's faster. Climb, nothing close enough to reach. Fight suicide. You're 12 years old, half-starved, exhausted, armed with a knife barely longer than your hand. The boar charges. This time you don't try to dodge sideways. Instead you do something your training never covered, something born of pure desperation. You run straight at the creature. The boar is committed to its charge, expecting you to flee. Your sudden counterattack confuses it for just a heartbeat. Enough time for you to drop into a slide like you've done 100 times in the training yard, letting momentum carry you under the boar's lowered head. You feel the rough hair of its belly scrape across your back as you slide beneath it. The stench of the animal fills your nose musk and mud and something wild. Your knife hand moves on instinct, slashing upward, finding the soft flesh behind the front leg where arteries run close to the surface. Hot blood sprays across your face and chest. Then you're past, rolling to your feet behind the creature. The boar spins again, but slower now. It takes 3 steps toward you before its front legs buckle. Blood pours from the wound, soaking into the earth. The boar's breathing becomes laboured, wet-sounding. It tries to rise once more, tusks swinging weakly in your direction. Then it falls onto its side, massive chest heaving. You stand there watching it die, knife dripping red, your own chest heaving with exertion and shock. The whole thing lasted maybe 20 heartbeats from first charge to the creature's final breath. You've killed it. Actually killed it. Not a practice helot under controlled conditions, not a young wolf with your entire unit helping. This, a full-grown wild boar, alone, with nothing but a small knife and desperate courage. The shaking starts then, your whole body trembling so violently you have to sit down hard on the rocks. The knife falls from your nerveless fingers. You stare at your hands, at the blood covering them, and something breaks loose inside your chest. Laughter maybe, or tears. You're not sure which. Maybe both. When you can finally stand again, you approach the boar cautiously, even though it's clearly dead. Its eyes open, glassy, staring at nothing. You place one hand on its bristled hide, feeling the residual warmth. "Thank you," you whisper, though you're not sure why. Spartans don't give thanks to their kills. But something about this moment feels sacred, worthy of acknowledgement. Then practicality reasserts itself. You're hungry starving, actually. Your stomach has been empty for so long it stopped growling and started aching, and here before you is meat, lots of it. But the sun is climbing higher. You've already lost time sleeping. Sparta is still hours away on foot, and you need to arrive before the day is done to prove you've completed the trial. You can't carry the whole boar, but you can take some. You work quickly, using the knife to cut away a portion of the backstrap, the tender meat along the spine. It's messy work. Your hands are slippery with blood, and the knife is small for butchering. But you manage to cut free a piece about the size of your forearm. Dark red meat that makes your mouth water just looking at it. Raw meat. You've eaten it before in training. They fed you scraps of raw fish once, made you choke it down to teach you that a Spartan eats whatever keeps him alive. But this is different. This is meat you killed yourself, earned yourself. You tear off a piece with your teeth, chewing the tough muscle. It tastes of blood and iron and something wild. Your stomach cramps as it receives actual food for the first time in over a day, but you force yourself to eat slowly. Too much, too fast, and you'll just vomit it back up. You eat perhaps a quarter of the meat, then wrap the rest in the remains of your footcloths. It's not much, but it's sustenance, energy, life. The stream beckons again, and you wade in fully this time, washing the blood from your body and hair, rinsing out your mouth. The cold water makes you gasp, but it feels good. Cleansing. You're covered in cuts and bruises. Your feet are torn to shreds. Your body is one massive ache. But you're alive and fed, and you've survived things that should have killed you. You're almost home. The terrain levels out as you descend further into the foothills. The harsh mountain slopes give way to gentler hills, pine forest transitioning to mixed woodland. You recognize this area vaguely from training exercises. Your unit has run through these hills before, though never alone, never without supervision. The sun is past its peak now, beginning its slow descent toward afternoon. You've been gone for almost exactly one full day, left at dawn yesterday, returning in the afternoon today. The trial is technically over. You've survived the required time, but you're not back yet, not officially. Not until you walk through Sparta's gates. You press on, trying to ignore the pain in your feet. Each step leaves small bloody prints on the rocks, but there's nothing to be done about it. Your body is operating on willpower now, the meat sitting heavy in your stomach but not yet converted to strength. A sound stops you, voices ahead speaking quietly. You drop into a crouch automatically, every sense sharpening. The voices are male, adult, speaking in the clipped tones of Spartan warriors. The hunters or other trainers? You move silently to the edge of a rocky outcrop and look down. 3 men stand in a small clearing, perhaps 50 paces away. They're dressed in the simple tunics of warriors, not in full armor, but each carries weapons, spears, swords. You recognize one of them, Brasidas, the scarred veteran who taught you tracking. They're waiting. This isn't a random patrol. They're positioned here deliberately, watching the approaches to the city. A final test. Of course it is. They let you survive the mountain, the wolves, the hunters, the night. But they want to see how you'll handle this, how you'll get past them when you're exhausted, wounded, desperate to reach safety. You could call out, identify yourself, ask permission to pass. But that's not what this test is measuring. They want to know if you can complete the mission without being caught, if you have the intelligence and skills to evade detection even when you're at your weakest. You study the situation carefully. 3 warriors, experienced fighters. You're a 12-year-old boy with a knife and no energy left for fighting. Direct confrontation is impossible, which means you need to go around them. You back away from the outcrop silently, then begin to circle wide to the east, staying low, using the terrain for cover. Your training kicks in, move slowly, minimize noise, use shadows and vegetation, never silhouette yourself against the sky. It takes forever. The sun continues its descent, and with it comes a gnawing urgency. You need to reach the city before dark. If you arrive after nightfall, will they count it as success or failure? The rules were 1 day and night, but interpretations can vary. Sparta's tests are rarely clear-cut. You're perhaps 100 paces past the warrior's position when you hear it, a sharp whistle, a signal. They've seen you. Or they've seen something. You abandon stealth and run. Your feet scream in protest, your legs barely respond, but you force them to move, through the trees, over rocks, down the slope toward the valley floor. Behind you, you hear crashing. The warriors giving chase, but not at full speed. They're testing you, seeing how far you can push yourself. The valley opens before you. Sparta visible now, clear in the afternoon light. The gates are perhaps half a mile away. You run. Your vision narrows to a tunnel. All you can see is the city ahead. All you can feel is your body protesting every movement. All you can hear is your own ragged breathing and the pounding of your heart and the footsteps behind you. But the footsteps aren't gaining. The warriors are pacing you, keeping pressure on but not overtaking. This is part of the test too. Can you maintain your speed while exhausted? Can you push through pain? The city grows closer. You can see people now. Civilians going about their business, warriors training in the yards outside the walls, children running and playing. The gates stand open. You're going to make it. 50 paces, 40, 30. The warriors behind you fall back, letting you go. The chase is over. 20 paces, 10. You stumble through the gates and collapse onto the packed earth of the street beyond. Hands lift you up. Gentle hands, surprisingly. Someone presses a water skin to your lips and you drink greedily. You're being moved, carried maybe, toward the training grounds. You've made it. You survived. The trial is over. They lay you on a wooden bench in the shade of the barracks. Brasidas appears above you, his scarred face unreadable. "The boar," he says. "That was well done." You stare at him. How does he know about the boar? "We track all the boys during their trials," he says, reading the question in your eyes. You were never truly alone. We saw your fight at the stream, saw you take the meat, saw everything. Never alone. The words should make you angry, should feel like a betrayal, but they don't. Of course they were watching. This is Sparta. They wouldn't send boys into the mountains to simply die. Well, not all of them. You survived, Brasidas continues. More than that, you adapted. You went high when we expected low. You moved at night when most boys freeze in their hiding spots. You killed when you needed to kill. You showed intelligence and courage and resourcefulness. He pauses, then adds quietly, "The wolves. We didn't expect them to come so close. That was real danger, not planned. You handled it well. Pride swells in your chest, warm and unfamiliar. You're not used to praise from the trainers. Rest now," Brasidas says. "Tomorrow your training continues. But today you've earned your place." He walks away, leaving you lying there in the shade, staring up at the familiar wooden beams of the barracks roof. Your body is broken and bloody and exhausted beyond measure. But you're back, you're home, and you've proven what you needed to prove. A shadow falls across you, and you look up to see Alexios. His face breaks into the widest smile you've ever seen from him. "You're back," he says simply. "I'm back." He sits beside you on the bench, close enough that your shoulders touch. Neither of you says anything else. You don't need to. He knows what you've been through. He'll face his own trial someday. For now, it's enough to sit together in the shade, to feel the solid ground beneath you, to know you've survived another day of becoming Spartan. The sun sinks lower. The training yard fills with the sounds of other boys at their drills. The clash of wooden weapons, the shouts of trainers, the grunts of exertion. Normal sounds, familiar sounds, the sounds of home. You close your eyes and let exhaustion finally claim you, secure in the knowledge that when you wake, you'll still be here, still be alive, still be moving forward on the long, brutal path that Sparta has laid before you. One day closer to becoming what they're making you, a weapon wrapped in human skin, forged in pain and deprivation and mortal danger. One day closer to being truly Spartan. Chapter 4. Midday Crisis, the Wolf Pack. You wake to someone pouring water over your head. The shock of it brings you up gasping, hands reaching for a knife that isn't there. Your body moves before your mind catches up trained responses, firing automatically. Attack the threat, find a weapon, establish position. Easy, easy. Alexios's voice, calm and familiar. It's just me, you were burning up, your vision clears. You're still on the bench in the shade, but the sun has shifted. How long were you asleep? An hour? 2. Your body feels like it's made of lead, every muscle stiff and aching. Your feet throb with a deep, persistent pain that makes you nauseous. Fever, Alexios says, answering the question you haven't asked. He holds up the water skin. You need to drink more. And these, he gestures to your feet, these need attention. You look down at them for the first time since returning. They're worse than you thought. The skin is torn in multiple places, revealing raw flesh beneath. Some of the cuts are deep enough that you can see the white of tendon. Dirt and small stones are embedded in the wounds. The flesh around them is swollen and angry looking, hot to the touch even from here. The healers won't see you until tomorrow, Alexios continues. Brasidas' orders. Says you need to learn to tend your own wounds. He holds up a cloth and a small clay pot. I brought what I could steal from the medical stores. This is, I don't know what it's called. The green paste they use on deep cuts. You take the pot and open it. The paste inside smells sharp and medicinal, like pine resin mixed with something bitter. You've seen this used before on training injuries. It burns like fire when applied, but it keeps wounds from going bad. This is going to hurt, you say. Everything hurts, Alexios replies with a slight smile. That's the point, isn't it? He's right. Pain is the constant currency of the agoge. You've learned to function through it, to accept it as simply another condition of existence. But this, looking at your ruined feet, knowing you're about to deliberately cause yourself more agony, this requires a different kind of strength. You dip your fingers into the paste and begin working on your left foot first. The moment the medicine touches the raw wounds, white-hot pain explodes up your leg. Your vision goes grey at the edges. Your jaw clenches so hard you think your teeth might crack. But you don't stop. You work the paste into each wound methodically, cleaning out dirt and debris, covering the torn flesh. Sweat pours down your face. Your hands shake. Alexios watches without comment, without offering to help. This is something you have to do yourself. By the time you finish the second foot, you're panting like you've run a mile. The pain has reached a level where it becomes almost abstract, so intense it's no longer quite real, existing somewhere beyond normal sensation. Good, Alexios says, and there's approval in his voice. He hands you strips of cloth. Now wrap them. We have drills in an hour. You stare at him. An hour? I just got back. I can barely stand. Which is why Leontus scheduled drills. His expression is sympathetic but firm. You know how it works. No rest for completing the trial. You prove you can survive the mountain. Now prove you can function after surviving it. Of course, the trial isn't really over just because you made it back. The trial continues until they decide it's done. Until they're satisfied you've learned whatever lesson they want you to learn. You wrap your feet as tightly as you can bear, then accept Alexios's hand to pull yourself upright. Standing sends fresh waves of pain shooting through your legs, but you lock your knees and force yourself to bear it. Can you walk? Alexios asks. I can walk. Can you run? You take a few experimental steps. Each one feels like stepping on hot coals, but your feet hold your weight. The wrappings help, providing some cushioning and support. I can run. Liar. But he's smiling slightly. Come on, we should eat before drills. They're serving now. The mess hall is crowded with boys from multiple units, all sitting on long benches at wooden tables worn smooth by years of use. The noise is overwhelming after the silence of the mountains. Dozens of conversations happening at once, the clatter of wooden bowls and spoons, the occasional bark of laughter quickly suppressed. You take your place with your unit at your assigned table. The other boys glance at you, some with curiosity, some with respect, a few with envy. You're marked now, visibly changed. The cuts and bruises, the way you move carefully, the distant look in your eyes. They can see you've been somewhere they haven't yet gone. The food arrives, barley porridge, thin and watery, with a small piece of dried fish on the side. After a day and a half of nothing but raw boar meat, it looks like a feast. You eat slowly, trying not to gulp it down, forcing yourself to chew each bite thoroughly. Across the table, a boy named Philippos leans forward. Is it true about the wolves? You look up at him. He's from another unit, a year younger than you, still soft around the edges in a way you remember being once. What did you hear? That they cornered you on the mountain. That you fought them off. I didn't fight them, you say. They decided I wasn't worth the effort. But there were 5 of them. Everyone's saying, everyone should focus on their own training. You cut him off. You don't want to talk about it. Don't want to relive those moments of terror on the mountainside. The wolves were real, and you survived them, but turning that into a story, into entertainment for younger boys, feels wrong somehow. Alexios catches your eye and gives a tiny nod of approval. Bragging is weakness in Sparta. Doing the thing matters, talking about it doesn't. You finish your porridge and the fish, then drain your water cup. Your stomach feels better with food in it, though the fever still makes your skin feel too tight, too hot. You're aware of your body in a way you normally aren't. Aware of every point of pain, every strained muscle, every beat of your heart pushing blood through veins that feel inflamed. A horn sounds outside. The signal for afternoon drills. All around you, boys rise and file toward the door. You stand slowly, testing your feet again. Still painful, but the food has given you some energy. You can do this. You have to do this. The training yard is brutal under the midday sun. The packed earth radiates heat, making the air shimmer. Your unit forms up in ranks, and you take your position despite the way your legs tremble. Leontus stands before you, flanked by 2 other trainers. His expression gives nothing away. Theron, he says, step forward. You do, moving carefully to stand apart from the formation. Every eye is on you now, not just your unit, but several others training nearby. The yard has gone quiet. You survived the krypteia, Leontus says. It's not a question, but you answer anyway. Yes, sir. Tell me what you learned. The question hangs in the hot air. What did you learn? So many things. Too many things. How to push past exhaustion. How to function with fear as a constant companion. How to make decisions when all options are bad. How to kill. How to survive. But you sense he's looking for something specific, something beyond the obvious. I learned, you say slowly, that I can stand alone. Leontus's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Elaborate. In the barracks, in training, we function as a unit. We rely on each other. We're taught to be parts of a whole. The phalanx, the army, Sparta itself. You pause, finding the words. But on the mountain, there was no unit, no one to rely on, just me. And I learned that when everything is stripped away, brothers, food, shelter, weapons, what remains is enough. I am enough. And does this make you less dependent on your unit? It's a trap question. You can feel it. If you say yes, you're admitting to dangerous individualism. If you say no, you're contradicting what you just said about standing alone. No, sir, you answer carefully. It makes me a stronger part of the unit. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Each warrior must be capable of standing alone so that when we stand together we're unbreakable. Leontus studies you for a long moment, then nods. Good answer. Now prove it wasn't just words. Sparring circle. Bare hands. You against. He scans the assembled boys. You against 3 opponents of your choosing. Your stomach drops. 3 opponents, bare-handed combat, and you can barely stand. This is the true test then, not the mountain. This. To prove you can function even when your body is broken, even when the odds are impossible. Choose, Leontus commands. You scan the assembled boys. Most of them are watching with a mixture of anticipation and sympathy. You need to choose carefully. Not the smallest or weakest, that would be seen as cowardice. Not the biggest or strongest. You're in no condition for that. You need opponents who will challenge you, but who you have some chance against. Alexios, you say first. He steps forward without hesitation, his face carefully neutral. You know each other's fighting styles intimately. That's both advantage and disadvantage. Demetrios, the boy from this morning, the one Leontas rejected for the krypteia. He's solid, methodical, predictable. You can work with that. Nikolaos, quick, but not particularly strong. Together with the others, they'll be formidable, but not impossible. The three of them enter the sparring circle, a ring of packed earth 20 paces across. You limp in after them, your feet screaming with each step. The other boys form a ring around the circle, watching silently. Leontas raises his hand. Rules: no strikes to the throat or eyes, no biting. Fight until I call stop or until someone can't continue. Begin. The three boys spread out, forming a triangle around you. They're smart. They know to come at you from multiple angles to prevent you from focusing on any single opponent. You turn slowly, trying to keep all three in your field of vision, but your body is too slow, too tired. Alexios moves first, testing you with a quick jab that you barely deflect. While you're focused on him, Nikolaos comes in from your left, going for a leg sweep. You see it coming but can't quite avoid it. Your damaged feet won't respond fast enough. You hit the ground hard, dust puffing up around you. The impact drives the air from your lungs. Before you can recover, Demetrios is on you, trying to pin your arms. You twist violently, ignoring the screaming pain from your feet, and manage to throw him off. You roll and come up in a crouch, breathing hard already. This is bad. You're too slow, too hurt, too tired. They come at you again, coordinated now. Alexios high, Nikolaos low, Demetrios circling to cut off your retreat. You manage to block Alexios, but Nikolaos gets through, his shoulder driving into your ribs. You go down again, harder this time. The packed earth is harsh against your already bruised body. You taste blood. You bitten your tongue. The sun beats down mercilessly. Through the ringing in your ears, you can hear the watching boys murmuring. Some are probably enjoying this, seeing you who survived the mountain, who killed the boar, getting beaten in the training circle. Demetrios tries to grab your arm to lock it behind your back. Standard grappling technique, one you've practiced 1,000 times. And in that moment, something shifts inside you. You've survived wolves. You've survived the mountain. You survived alone in the dark with nothing but a knife and your will to continue. These boys, your brothers, yes, but also just boys, fed and rested and comfortable. They haven't been where you've been. They haven't learned what you've learned. You stop defending. Stop trying to avoid their attacks. Instead, you do what you did with the boar. You attack into the attack. Demetrios has your arm. Good. You use his grip as an anchor point, pivoting and driving your elbow into his face. Not hard enough to break anything that would violate the rules, but hard enough that his nose starts bleeding and his grip loosens. Nikolaos is coming in again. You drop your weight suddenly, letting yourself fall backward. He trips over you, his momentum carrying him past. As he stumbles, you kick out, despite the agony it causes your damaged feet, and catch the back of his knee. He goes down. That leaves Alexios, and he's the dangerous one. He knows you too well, has fought you too many times. He's not rushing in like the others. He's waiting, watching, looking for an opening. You circle each other, both breathing hard. The other two are getting up, but slowly. You have maybe 10 heartbeats before it's 3-on-1 again. Come on, you rasp at Alexios. Or are you afraid? It's a cheap tactic, but it works. His eyes flash and he comes in fast, going for a grab that would let him use his weight advantage. You're already moving, dropping under his arms, coming up behind him. Your arm snakes around his neck, not a full choke, but enough pressure to make breathing difficult. Yield, you whisper in his ear. He doesn't. Instead, he throws himself backward, trying to crush you against the ground with his weight. You roll with it, maintaining the hold. The impact is brutal, your already injured body screaming in protest, but you don't let go. Nikolaos and Demetrios are up now, coming in. You can't fight all three while holding Alexios. You have to make a choice. You release Alexios and push him away, rolling to your feet. All three of them face you now, more cautious this time. They've felt your desperation, your willingness to absorb damage to land your own strikes. The smart thing would be to stay defensive, to try to outlast them. but you're not going to outlast them. Your body is failing, your vision starting to blur from fever and exhaustion. So you attack. You launch yourself at Demetrios, the most methodical of the three, the one least likely to adapt quickly. You're feint high, then go low, sweeping his legs. He goes down, and you're already moving toward Nikolaos. He tries to retreat, but you're inside his guard now, landing a quick combination elbow-knee palm strike to the chest that sends him stumbling backward. Alexios comes at you from the side. You're too tired to fully dodge. His tackle takes you down for the third time, and this time he has position, his weight pressing you into the dirt. His forearm is across your throat, not hard enough to choke, but enough to control. "Stay down," he says quietly, meant only for you. You've proved your point. Stay down. For a moment you consider it. Your body is begging you to quit, to accept defeat, to rest. But something stubborn and probably stupid inside you refuses. You didn't survive the mountain by giving up when things got hard. You buck violently, using your hips to lift his weight. It's a technique you've practiced but rarely successfully. It requires perfect timing and explosive strength. In your current state, you shouldn't be able to do it, but you do. Alexios goes tumbling forward. You scramble up, swaying on your feet. All three boys are rising again. The watching crowd has gone completely silent. Even Leontus is watching intently now. You can't win this. You know that. 3 against 1. In your condition, it's impossible. But you're not trying to win. You're trying to prove that you won't quit, that you can't be broken. That Sparta's training has made you into something that simply does not stop. They come at you together this time. No more testing, no more caution. Just a coordinated rush to end this. You meet them head on. The impact is crushing. Bodies colliding, limbs tangling, all of you going down in a heap of struggling fighters. Fists and elbows fly. Someone's knee catches your ribs. Your elbow finds someone's jaw. It's chaos, brutal and graceless and savage. And then Leontus's voice cuts through. "Stop!" Everyone freezes. Slowly, carefully, you all separate and stand. Your legs are shaking so badly you can barely remain upright. Blood runs from your nose, mixing with the dust caked on your face. Your vision swims, and you're not entirely sure you're not about to pass out. But you're standing. Alexios is holding his jaw. You must have caught him there. Nikolaos has a split lip. Demetrios is favouring his left side where your knee connected. All 3 of them are looking at you with something that might be respect, or possibly just disbelief that you're still conscious. Leontus walks into the circle slowly, studying each of you in turn. When he reaches you, he stops. "You lost," he says flatly. "Yes, sir. 3 against 1. They had you down multiple times. By any tactical measure, that was a defeat." "Yes, sir. And yet..." He pauses, and his voice drops slightly. "And yet you never stopped. Even knowing you couldn't win, you continued to fight. That is what I needed to see, not victory. Refusal to surrender." He turns to address the entire assembled group of watching boys. "This," he says, gesturing to you, "is what Sparta demands. Not that you never fail, not that you never fall, but that when you fall, you rise. When you're outnumbered, you fight anyway. When your body is broken and your chances are impossible, you continue." His voice rises. "Because on the battlefield, the enemy won't care that you're tired. They won't care that you're hurt. They won't give you time to rest. You will fight when fighting seems impossible, or you will die. And Sparta does not raise warriors who die easily." He looks back at you. "Go to the barracks. Rest until evening meal. That's an order." You nod, not trusting your voice. You turn to leave the circle, each step agony. Alexios catches up with you before you reach the barracks door. He doesn't say anything, just walks beside you, close enough that you can lean on him if you need to without it being obvious. "That was stupid," he finally says. "I know. You could have yielded, saved yourself the extra beating, I know, but you didn't, no." He's quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm glad you came back." You stop walking and look at him. His jaw is already swelling where you hit him. "There will be a bruise tomorrow." "I'm sorry about your face." He shrugs. "I've had worse. Besides, you look worse." "That's probably true. You can feel your own face swelling, your lips split, your nose still bleeding sluggishly." "We're a mess," you say. "We're Spartans," he corrects. It's the same thing. You almost laugh, but it hurts too much. Instead, you just nod and let him help you into the barracks, into the dim corners where you can finally rest. You collapse onto your pallet, and this time, when exhaustion claims you, you don't fight it. You let the darkness take you down into sleep so deep it's almost like death, but not quite death, because you're still here, still breathing, still surviving, still becoming what Sparta demands you become. A weapon that doesn't break, no matter how hard they try to shatter you. Chapter 5. Afternoon. Survival. The hunt within the hunt. You dream of wolves. They circle you in the darkness, their eyes reflecting moonlight like cold coins. But these aren't the wolves from the mountain. These wolves have men's faces. Leontus, Brasidas, the other trainers. They speak to you in human voices while their jaws drip with saliva. Run, they say. Run, little Spartan. Show us what you've learned. You try to run, but your feet won't move. When you look down, you see they've become roots, growing deep into the earth, holding you in place while the wolves circle closer. You can't escape, the Leontus wolf says. You were never meant to escape. This is all there is. The hunt, the pain, the endless test. This is what we've made you for. The wolves spring. You wake gasping, your whole body jerking upright on the pallet. Pain explodes through your ribs where Nikolaos hit you, through your feet, through the countless bruises and cuts covering your body. For a heartbeat, you don't know where you are. The barracks, the mountain, still dreaming? Easy. A hand on your shoulder, steadying. Alexios, sitting beside your pallet. You were thrashing, calling out. You try to speak, but your throat is dry as dust. He hands you a water cup and you drink greedily, the liquid soothing but not quite reaching the deep thirst that seems to have settled into your bones. How long? You manage. 3 hours maybe. The sun's lower now. Evening meal is soon. 3 hours. It feels like you just closed your eyes. Your body is telling you it needs more. Days more. Weeks more. But Sparta doesn't care what your body needs. You swing your legs off the pallet, testing them. The pain is different now. Deeper, duller, more persistent. The sharp agony has been replaced by a grinding ache that makes you want to vomit. Your feet feel swollen inside their wrappings, hot and throbbing. "Let me see," Alexios says, kneeling beside you. He unwraps the cloth carefully, and you both stare at what's revealed. The wounds have begun to seep, a mixture of blood and clear fluid soaking through the paste you applied earlier. The flesh around the cuts is even more swollen than before, tight and shiny. Some of the deeper cuts have edges that look white and puckered. "That's not good," Alexios says quietly. "It's fine. Theron, it's fine. Your voice comes out harder than you intended. I've had worse." That's a lie, and you both know it, but he doesn't challenge you. Instead, he helps you rewrap the feet using fresh strips of cloth he must have stolen from somewhere. His hands are gentle, careful not to press too hard. "There's talk," he says as he works. "About tonight. You go still." What kind of talk? The kind where the trainers smile too much. The kind where they send messages to each other during drills and don't explain why. He ties off the wrapping and looks up at you. Something's planned. Something special. Of course it is. The trial is never really over. You should have known that returning to the barracks wasn't the end, just another beginning. Sparta's lessons come in layers, each one revealing another beneath it. What do you think it is? I don't know. But Brasidas was asking about you specifically, about your condition, whether you could run. Alexios's expression is troubled. After everything you've been through, after the mountain and the sparring, they should let you rest, should let you heal. Should isn't a word that means much here. No, he agrees. I suppose it isn't. The evening meal is the same thin porridge and dried fish as midday, but your stomach accepts it more readily this time. You eat slowly, methodically, forcing yourself to chew each bite even though you want to gulp it down. Around you, the mess hall buzzes with the usual sounds. Quiet conversations, the scrape of wooden bowls, the occasional sharp command from a trainer. But there's an undercurrent of tension you can feel. Other boys glancing at you when they think you're not looking. Whispered speculations that fall silent when you turn your head. Everyone knows something is coming. No one knows what. Leontus enters the hall as you're finishing your meal. The room doesn't exactly fall silent, but the noise level drops noticeably. He walks between the tables slowly, his eyes scanning the assembled boys. When his gaze lands on you, it stays there for a long moment before moving on. Your stomach tightens. Whatever is coming, it involves you. After the meal, your unit is ordered to the training yard. The sun is setting now, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Long shadows stretch across the packed earth. Other units are being dismissed to their evening routines, but yours remains. Leontus stands before you, flanked by Brasidas and two other trainers you recognize but whose names you don't know. Behind them you can see preparations of some kind, torches being lit, weapons being laid out, something being done that you can't quite make out in the failing light. Today, Leontus begins, Theron completed the krypteia trial. He survived the mountain, the wolves, the hunters. He returned, and in his first training session back, he demonstrated the proper Spartan spirit, refusing to yield even when defeat was certain. You stand at attention, trying to ignore the way your body sways slightly with exhaustion. But surviving the trial is only the first step. Now we test whether the lessons learned can be applied, whether what was forged in the mountains can function in the real world. He pauses. Tonight, all of you will participate in a special exercise. A hunt. The word sends a chill through you despite the warm evening air. You will divide into two groups, Leontus continues. 20 boys in each group. One group will be the hunters, the other will be the hunted. You will have, from now until the moon reaches its peak, roughly 4 hours. The hunted will scatter into the hills surrounding the city. The hunters will pursue. If you are caught, you will be bound and brought back here. Any hunted who remain free until moonrise will have succeeded. He turns to look directly at you. Theron, because you have just returned from the krypteia and because your feet are damaged, you will have a choice. You may join the hunters, or you may remain here in the barracks to continue your recovery. It's a trap. You can feel it as clearly as you can feel the pain in your feet. If you choose to rest, you'll be seen as weak. If you choose to hunt, you'll be at a severe disadvantage. Either way, you lose. But there's a third option, one that Leontus hasn't quite said out loud, but that hangs there in the air between his words. Sir, you say, may I volunteer to be hunted alone? The yard goes absolutely silent. 40 boys holding their breath. Even the trainers look surprised. Leontus's expression doesn't change, but you see something flicker in his eyes. Approval, maybe. Or possibly just satisfaction that you walked into his trap exactly as planned. You wish to be hunted by 20 boys, in your current condition, with damaged feet that can barely carry you. Yes, sir. Why? Because it's the only choice that means anything. Because joining the hunters would be admitting you need the advantage. Because resting would be admitting you can't handle what comes next. Because somewhere in the last day and night on the mountain, you learned that the only way forward is through the hardest path. But you don't say any of that. Instead, because that's what the trial taught me, sir. That I can stand alone. Leontus studies you for what feels like an eternity. The sun continues its descent, the shadows growing longer. Finally, he nods. Very well. You will be hunted by the entire unit, all 40 boys. You will have a quarter-hour head start. If you are caught, there will be consequences. If you remain free until moonrise, you will have proven what you claim. He gestures to Brasidas, who steps forward holding something. A strip of red cloth. Tie this around your arm, Brasidas says, so your hunters can identify you in the dark. You take the cloth and wrap it around your left bicep, knotting it tight. The red stands out vividly against your skin, a target, a mark. The rules, Leontus says. No leaving the training area approximately 2 miles in any direction from the city walls, no hiding within the city itself, no weapons. If caught, you submit immediately without resistance. The hunters may use any means necessary to capture you, short of causing permanent injury. Any means necessary. That could mean a lot of things, none of them pleasant. Your quarter-hour begins now, Leontus says. Go. You don't hesitate. Despite the screaming protest from your feet, you turn and run. The pain is immediate and overwhelming. Each footfall sends lightning bolts of agony up your legs. The wrappings help, but not enough. You can feel fresh blood soaking through them already, warm and sticky. But you run anyway. You head east, away from the setting sun, toward the hills you know from countless training exercises. Behind you, you can hear Leontus beginning the count for your head start. 40 boys being held back, waiting for permission to hunt, waiting to hunt you. The rational part of your mind is screaming that this is impossible. You're exhausted, injured, feverish. You've barely slept, barely eaten. Your body is already pushed past its limits. How can you possibly evade 40 boys for 4 hours? But the part of you that survived the mountain, that faced down wolves, that killed a boar with nothing but a knife, that part knows that impossible is just another word, just another test to pass. You reach the edge of the training area where the packed earth gives way to scrub grass and loose stone. The hills rise before you, dark shapes against the deepening blue of the sky. You know this terrain. You run these hills hundreds of times in training, but so have the boys hunting you. They know it just as well. You can't simply run and hide. They'll find you. With 40 boys searching, they can cover the entire area systematically. Your only chance is to keep moving, to stay ahead of them, to use the darkness and your knowledge of the land to remain one step ahead. You hear a horn blow behind you, the signal that your quarter hour is up. The hunt has begun. You change direction immediately, angling north instead of continuing east. Basic evasion. Never go in a straight line. Never be where the hunters expect you to be. Your feet scream in protest as you scramble up a rocky slope, using your hands to help pull yourself along. At the top of the rise, you pause briefly to look back. You can see torches, 20 of them at least, spreading out from the training yard like searching fingers. They're organized, moving in a coordinated pattern. Brasidas probably gave them a strategy, taught them how to hunt as a pack. You need to be smarter than their strategy. You descend the far side of the hill, moving more carefully now. The light is fading fast, and you can't risk a fall that would end the hunt before it's properly begun. At the bottom you find a narrow creek, one you remember from training, and step into it. The cold water is agony on your damaged feet, but it serves a purpose. Water hides your scent, disperses your trail. If they're tracking you, this will slow them down. You follow the creek north for perhaps 200 paces, then emerge on the far bank and continue into a dense thicket of scrub oak. The branches tear at your skin as you push through, but the thickness of the vegetation provides cover. You can hear the hunters now, calling to each other in the distance. They're spreading out, searching systematically. But you're not where they think you are, not yet. You work your way through the thicket and emerge into a small clearing. The moon is rising now, just a sliver above the eastern hills. You have maybe 3 hours left, 3 hours to stay free. Your body is begging you to stop, to rest, to find a hiding place and simply wait out the time. But you know that won't work. They'll search every hiding spot, every cave, every thick patch of brush. Staying still means being found. So you keep moving. You head west now, paralleling the creek, but staying in the higher ground where the terrain is rougher. Your training has taught you that most people take the easy path, the clear trails, the level ground. By choosing the harder route, you make yourself harder to find. The moon climbs higher. Your breathing is ragged now, each breath feeling insufficient. The fever makes everything feel distant and unreal, like you're watching yourself from outside your body. Sweat pours down your face despite the cooling night air. Behind you, you hear a shout. They've found something. Your trail, maybe, or a sign of your passage. The torches shift, converging toward a point about half a mile south of your current position. Good. Let them search there while you move elsewhere. You descend into a rocky ravine, using your hands to steady yourself on the steep slope. At the bottom, you pause to catch your breath. The ravine is narrow, maybe 10 paces across, with steep walls on either side. It runs roughly north-south, and you can follow it north toward the boundary of the training area. You start forward, moving as quietly as you can manage. The ravine floor is loose stone that shifts under your feet, each step requiring careful placement. The walls rise 15 or 20 feet on either side, blocking out most of the moonlight. You're perhaps 50 paces into the ravine when you hear it. Voices ahead. You freeze. How did they get ahead of you? Did they predict your route? Or did you turn around somehow in the darkness, become disoriented? No time to figure it out. You need to hide now. You press yourself against the ravine wall, finding a small depression where erosion has carved away the stone. It's not much, barely enough to hide your body, but it's all you have. You squeeze in, making yourself as small as possible, trying to control your breathing. The voices get louder. Torchlight appears around a bend in the ravine, casting dancing shadows on the walls. You can make out 3 figures, boys from your unit, though you can't identify who in the uncertain light. This way. I saw movement. You didn't see anything. You're jumping at shadows. I'm telling you, something moved down here. They're coming closer. 20 paces away. 15. You can see them clearly now. Philippos, the boy who asked about the wolves. And 2 others whose names you don't remember. Younger boys from the newest intake. 10 paces. Your heart is pounding so hard you're certain they must be able to hear it. The depression you're hiding in feels impossibly exposed. If they shine their torch directly at you, they'll see you immediately. 5 paces. Philippos is in the lead, torch held high. He's looking around carefully, checking every shadow, every irregularity in the ravine walls. His eyes sweep past your hiding spot. And stop! He's seen you. You can tell by the way his body goes still, the way his eyes focus on the exact spot where you're pressed against the stone. For a long moment, neither of you moves. The other 2 boys are still talking, unaware. Philippos could shout right now, could alert them, could end your hunt. His eyes meet yours in the torchlight, then he looks away, deliberately, obviously. Nothing here, he says loudly. Let's check further north. The 3 of them continue past, their torchlight receding into the distance, their voices fading. Philippos let you go. You wait until they're completely gone before allowing yourself to breathe normally again. Why did he do that? Is it respect for surviving the krypteia? Sympathy for your condition? Or something else entirely? You'll probably never know. And it doesn't matter right now. What matters is you're still free, still moving. You climb out of the ravine on the western side, pulling yourself up using roots and handholds worn into the rock face. At the top you lie flat for a moment, gasping. The fever is worse now, making your vision swim. You can feel heat radiating off your body like you're on fire from the inside. But you're not done yet. You force yourself to your feet and continue. The moon is higher now, maybe 2/3 of the way to its peak. You have perhaps an hour left. Maybe less. The terrain here is more open rolling hills dotted with sparse vegetation. Harder to hide, but you can see the hunters more easily too. You count torchlights in the distance. 6, 7. They've split into smaller groups, covering more ground. Smart. But it also means they're more vulnerable individually. You drop into a low crouch and begin moving from shadow to shadow, using every bit of cover available. Your body is operating on something beyond exhaustion now. Some reserve you didn't know you had, fueled by sheer stubbornness and whatever lessons Sparta is trying to teach you. A torch appears suddenly to your left, much closer than you expected. You drop flat instantly, pressing yourself into the tall grass. Through the stems you can see 2 figures moving in your direction. They're searching methodically, checking every potential hiding spot. They're going to walk right past you. You hold absolutely still, barely breathing. The grass is maybe knee-high, not enough to completely hide you, but enough to break up your silhouette in the darkness. The red cloth on your arm feels like it's glowing, screaming your position. The hunters are talking quietly as they search. You recognize one voice, Alexios. Of course he's close. He knows how you think, knows your tactics. He's probably been tracking you this whole time, predicting your movements. He can't have gone far, Alexios is saying. Not with his feet like that. He has to be close. Maybe he's already been caught, the other voice suggests. You don't recognize this one. No, we'd have heard the signal. Alexios sounds certain. He's still out here, still running. They're 10 paces away now. 9, 8. Your hand finds a stone in the grass, roughly the size of your fist. Slowly, carefully, you close your fingers around it. 7 paces. 6. You throw the stone as hard as you can, away from your position, toward a cluster of rocks 30 paces to the east. The stone hits with a sharp crack that echoes in the night air. Both hunters spin toward the sound immediately. There! Alexios shouts, and they both take off running toward the noise. You wait until they're committed to the chase, then rise and move in the opposite direction, low and fast. Every step is agony, but you don't stop. You can't stop. The moon is nearly at its peak now. So close. You're so close to winning this. But your body is failing. Your vision is tunneling, narrowing down to a small circle of clarity surrounded by darkness. Your legs are shaking so badly you can barely control them. The fever has reached a point where you're not entirely sure what's real anymore. You see movement everywhere. shadows that might be hunters or might be nothing. Sounds that could be footsteps or could be your imagination. The line between reality and fever dream is blurring. You stumble and fall, catching yourself on your hands. The impact sends fresh pain through your damaged palms. For a moment you just stay there on your hands and knees, unable to find the strength to rise. This is it. This is where you fail, not because they caught you, but because your body simply can't continue. No. The word comes from somewhere deep inside, from the same place that kept you moving on the mountain, that faced down the wolves, that refused to yield in the sparring circle. No, you will not fail here, not when you're this close. You force yourself to your feet, one step, then another. Your vision clears slightly, or maybe you've just adapted to functioning through the haze. It doesn't matter which. You can see the city walls now, distant but visible. The training yard where Leontas and the other trainers wait. You're perhaps a mile away, maybe less, and the moon is at its peak. You've done it. You've survived the full 4 hours, but you still need to return. Need to walk back into that training yard and prove you remained free. You start walking, each step measured and deliberate. The hills around you are still dotted with torches, the hunters still searching, not yet aware that time has run out. You're halfway back when you hear running footsteps behind you. You turn, swaying slightly, and see Alexios approaching. Not running to catch you now, but running to reach you. His torch is out. He stops a few paces away, breathing hard. For a long moment you just look at each other. "The moon," he says finally. "It's at peak. I know. You won. I know." He shakes his head slowly, something like wonder in his expression. "I don't know how you're still standing." "Neither do I, you admit." He steps forward and offers his shoulder. "Come on, let's get you back. You want to refuse, to walk back on your own, to finish this the way you started it alone. But you've proven what you needed to prove. And sometimes accepting help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's just sense." You lean on him, and together you walk back toward the training yard. The other hunters are converging now, having heard the horn that signals the end. They watch as you and Alexios emerge from the darkness, your red armband still visible in the moonlight. Leontas stands in the center of the yard, arms crossed. When you reach him, you straighten, pulling away from Alexios' support, standing on your own despite the way your legs shake. "Report," Leontas says. "I remained free, sir." "Did anyone assist you?" You think of Philippos in the ravine, deliberately looking away. "No, sir. I evaded capture through my own efforts." "It's not quite a lie. Philippos didn't help you. He simply chose not to hinder you." "There's a difference." Leontas studies you for a long moment. You're barely standing.
"I'm standing, sir."
You pushed yourself too far. Look at you. Fever, damaged feet, exhaustion. "You've risked permanent injury." "But I succeeded, sir." Something shifts in his expression. Not quite approval, but close. "Yes, you succeeded. Against 40 hunters, in your condition, you remained free." He raises his voice so all the assembled boys can hear. "This is what Sparta demands. Not that you be comfortable, not that you be safe, but that you succeed despite all obstacles. That you find ways to win when winning seems impossible." He turns back to you. "Now go to the healers." "That's not a request." "Your feet need proper treatment before they rot off." "Yes, sir." As you turn to leave, he adds quietly, "Well done, Theron." The words hit harder than any blow in the sparring circle. Praise from Leontas is rarer than gold, and worth more. Alexios helps you toward the medical building, a small structure on the far side of the training complex. The other boys are dispersing, some heading to the barracks, others being assigned to clean-up duties. "You could have hidden," Alexios says as you walk. "Found a good spot and just waited out the time. They would have found me. Maybe. Or maybe you just can't help making things harder than they need to be. You consider this. Maybe he's right. Maybe somewhere in the last day and half, in the mountains and the wolves and the endless tests, you've learned to seek out the hardest path automatically. Maybe that's what Sparta has made you. Someone who doesn't know how to choose the easy way anymore. Maybe, you admit. The healer is an old man named Theron, same name as yours, which has always struck you as mildly amusing." He takes one look at your feet and makes a disgusted sound. "Idiots," he mutters, not specifying whether he means you or the trainers, possibly both. "Sit." You sit on a wooden bench while he unwraps your feet. The cloth is soaked with blood and pus, stuck to the wounds. He has to soak them in warm water before he can remove the wrappings without tearing off more flesh. The revealed wounds are worse than before. Angry red streaks run up from some of the deeper cuts, the beginning of infection. The flesh is swollen, hot to the touch, weeping fluid. This should have been treated yesterday, the healer says flatly. Before you ran on them. Before you made them 10 times worse than they needed to be. I had duties. Duties. He spits the word like a curse. You have a duty not to cripple yourself before you're old enough to fight in a real battle. What good is a warrior who can't walk? He begins cleaning the wounds with sharp-smelling liquid that makes you hiss in pain. This will hurt, he says, not sounding particularly sympathetic. But it's necessary. Some of these cuts are deep enough I can see bone. He works in silence for a while, cleaning and treating each wound methodically. You watch, disconnected from the pain by exhaustion and fever. It feels like this is happening to someone else's feet, someone else's body. You survived the krypteia, the healer says eventually. It's not a question. Yes. And then fought 3 opponents, and then evaded 40 hunters for 4 hours. All on feet that should have had you in bed recovering. Yes. He shakes his head. Spartan training. They push you until you break, then push you further to see if you'll break again. He applies a thick paste to one of the deeper cuts, and the pain is sharp enough to cut through your fog. But I'll say this, you didn't break. Stupid, maybe. Stubborn, certainly, but not broken. He wraps your feet in clean bandages using some kind of oil or salve that smells medicinal. These need to stay clean and dry. You need to stay off them for at least 3 days. Longer would be better, but I know how that goes. He looks up at you, his old eyes surprisingly sharp. Can you do that? 3 days of rest? If ordered to, yes. I'm ordering you. And I'll inform Leontus if he overrides me. The healer shrugs. Then he overrides me. But I've done my duty by telling you what your body needs. He helps you stand, testing your weight on the bandaged feet. The pain is still there, but dulled by whatever he applied. Change these dressings twice daily. Come see me each time. If the red streaks get worse or you develop fever, come immediately. Infection can kill as surely as a spear. Yes, sir. Alexios helps you back to the barracks. The other boys are already settling in for the night. The usual pre-sleep routine of checking weapons, mending clothes, the quiet conversations that happen in the darkness. When you reach your pallet, you find a surprise, an extra blanket, folded neatly at the foot, and beside it, a small package wrapped in cloth. You unwrap it carefully and find a piece of cheese, real cheese, not the thin rations you're normally given, and dried meat. From Philippos, Alexios says quietly. He wanted you to have it. So Philippos's gesture in the ravine wasn't a one-time mercy. He's actually helping you, risking punishment if discovered. Why, you ask? Because you survived, Alexios says simply. Because you proved something we all need to see, that it's possible. That, all of this. He gestures around the barracks, encompassing not just the building but the whole brutal system of training. That it's survivable. That we can endure it and come out the other side. You look at the cheese and meat, at the extra blanket, at Alexios sitting beside your pallet. These small acts of brotherhood, of care, that exist despite the agoge's best efforts to crush all connection between boys. Thank you, you say. Get some sleep. Tomorrow. He trails off, then grins slightly. Tomorrow will probably be terrible too, but at least you'll have 3 days to let your feet heal before the next impossible thing they make you do. You lie back on your pallet, pulling the extra blanket over you. The cheese and meat you save for later. You're too exhausted to eat now. Your body sinks into the thin mattress like it's the softest bed imaginable. Around you the barracks settles into night sounds, breathing, the occasional shift of position, someone muttering in their sleep. Familiar sounds. Home sounds, as much as anything can be home in this place. You close your eyes and feel yourself sliding towards sleep. But just before you go under, you hear Alexios' voice, barely a whisper. I'm proud to call you brother. The words follow you down into darkness, warming something in your chest that Spartan training has tried so hard to freeze. You survived the mountain. You survived the wolves. You survived the hunt. And tomorrow you'll wake up and survive whatever comes next. because that's what Spartans do. That's what you do. You survive. Chapter 6. Evening Reckoning. The Confrontation. You wake to darkness and the sound of someone crying. Not the sharp sound of pain, but the quieter, more desperate sound of someone trying not to be heard. Muffled sobs, breath hitching, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and broken. Your eyes adjust slowly to the darkness. The barracks is quiet otherwise. Most of the boys are asleep, their breathing steady and deep. The moon provides just enough light through the high windows to make out shapes and shadows. The crying is coming from the far corner, near the younger boys' pallets. You recognize the sound now. It's one of the newest recruits, a boy named Klytos. 7 winters old, barely 2 months in the agoge, small for his age, soft, still in the way that children are before Sparta hardens them into weapons. You should ignore it. Mind your own survival. That's what you've been taught. Everyone suffers alone, everyone endures their own trials. Getting involved in another's weakness only makes you weak, but something makes you sit up anyway. Maybe it's the memory of your own first months here, when you cried every night and thought you might die from the loneliness. Maybe it's the cheese and blanket from Philippos, the reminder that small acts of mercy still exist in this brutal place. Or maybe you're just too tired to be sensible. You swing your legs off the pallet carefully, testing your bandaged feet. The healer's treatment has helped. The pain is still there, but more manageable, a dull throb instead of sharp agony. You can walk, at least. Slowly. You make your way between the rows of sleeping boys, moving as quietly as you can. Klytos is curled on his pallet, face pressed into the thin mattress, shoulders shaking. He doesn't see you approach until you're standing right beside him. He looks up, and in the moonlight you can see his face, tear-streaked, terrified, the face of a child who has realized too late that he's in a place that doesn't care about children. "Please don't tell," he whispers. "Please, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Being caught crying can earn a beating. Showing weakness is always punished. He's right to be afraid." You crouch down beside his pallet, your feet protesting the movement. "I'm not going to tell," you say quietly. He stares at you, not quite believing. "You're not?" "No." You glance around to make sure no trainers are watching. The barracks is still, silent except for breathing and the distant sound of wind. "But you need to stop. If someone else hears..." "I can't." His voice breaks. "I try, but I can't. I want to go home. I want my mother." Your mother. You can barely remember yours. A vague impression of warmth, of soft hands, of a voice singing something you've long forgotten. She gave you to Sparta when you were 7, just like Klytos' mother gave him. That's the law. All boys belong to the state. There's no going home, you say, and your voice is harder than you intend. This is home now. The barracks, the training, the other boys. This is all there is. I don't want this. I hate it here. They hit us. They starve us. Yesterday, during drills, Leontus made me... He stops, fresh tears spilling down his cheeks. "I can't do this. I'm not strong enough." You study him for a moment. He's right. He probably isn't strong enough. Not yet. Many boys break in the first year. Some die. Others are sent away, dismissed from the agoge as unfit, condemned to lives as lesser citizens. Sparta has no use for weakness. But you remember something Brasidas said once during a particularly brutal training session when half your unit was injured and exhausted. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one terrible day at a time. "You're right," you say to Klytos. "You're not strong enough. Not today." He looks at you, confused and hurt by the bluntness. "But you will be," you continue. "Every day you survive here makes you a little stronger. Every beating you endure, every meal you go without, every time you want to cry but swallow it down. That's strength building inside you, like a sword being forged. The fire and the hammer hurt, but they're making you into something harder than you were." "I don't want to be hard," he whispers. "I just want to be home." "I know, and you do know. You remember that wanting so clearly it makes your chest ache. But home isn't a place you can go back to. Home is what you make here, with the boys who suffer beside you, with your unit. You gesture around the dark barracks. These boys, every one of them cries sometimes, even the older ones. Even the strong ones. They just do it quietly, where no one can see. That's the skill you need to learn. not how to stop feeling pain, how to carry it without showing it. Cleitos wipes at his face with the back of his hand. How do you do it? How do you keep going? You think about the mountain, the wolves, the 40 boys hunting you through the darkness. You think about the moment when you wanted to quit, to simply lie down and let it all end. And what stopped you? You find something to survive for, you say finally. Not Sparta, not glory, not any of the things they tell us matter. You find one small thing, a friend, a goal, even just the satisfaction of proving you can endure one more day. And you hold on to that when everything else falls apart. What's your thing? He asks. You're about to answer when a voice cuts through the darkness. What's happening here? You turn to find Brasidas standing at the end of the row of pallets. How long has he been there? How much did he hear? Your heart sinks. This is it, punishment for both of you. Cleitos for crying, you for helping him instead of reporting him. But Brasidas doesn't look angry. His scarred face is unreadable as always, but there's something in his eyes that might be curiosity. The boy was having trouble sleeping, sir, you say carefully. I was helping him. Helping him. Brasidas walks closer, his footsteps soft on the wooden floor. And how exactly were you helping him, Theron? There's no good answer to that question. Anything you say can be used against you. I was telling him to be stronger, sir. Were you? Brasidas looks down at Cleitos, who has gone absolutely still, barely breathing. And you, boy, what was Theron telling you? Cleitos' mouth opens, but no sound comes out. He's frozen with terror. Answer, Brasidas says, his voice not unkind, but firm. He said, Cleitos' voice is barely a whisper. He said strength isn't something you're born with, that it builds one day at a time. Brasidas is quiet for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he sits down on the edge of a nearby pallet. The wooden frame creaks under his weight. When I was your age, he says, and his voice is different now, softer, more distant, like he's talking to himself as much as to Cleitos. I cried every night for a month. I was small like you, weak. The other boys beat me constantly. The trainers showed me no mercy. I wanted to die. You've never heard Brasidas talk about his childhood before. None of the trainers ever do. They're just weapons, forged long ago with no history before they became what they are. What changed? Cleitos asks. Nothing changed, Brasidas says bluntly. The beatings continued. The training remained brutal. I stayed small and weak compared to the others. He pauses. But I learned something important. I learned that surviving doesn't require being the strongest or the fastest or the best. It just requires refusing to quit. Every morning you wake up and decide, today I will not quit. That's all, just one more day. He looks at you now. Theron understands this. He survived the krypteia not because he's the strongest boy in his unit. He survived because when his body wanted to quit, when his mind screamed at him to give up, he simply refused. That's the real lesson of the mountain. Not that you can kill a boar or evade wolves, that you can refuse to quit even when quitting seems like the only rational choice. Brasidas stands, the pallet creaking again. Cleitos, you will report to me tomorrow after morning meal. I have extra duties for you, carrying water, hauling equipment, cleaning the training weapons. Hard work, but not violent. It will build your strength gradually. Relief washes over the boy's face. Extra duties are punishment, yes, but they're better than a beating. Brasidas turns to you. Theron, you should be resting. Your feet need healing. Yes, sir, but what you did just now, talking to this boy, sharing what you learned, that's not weakness, that's leadership. Remember that. He starts to walk away, then adds over his shoulder. Though perhaps do it more quietly next time. Half the barracks is awake now. You glance around and realize he's right. Many of the boys are sitting up on their pallets watching. They heard everything. Cleitos is crying, your words, Brasidas' story. Brasidas pauses at the doorway. All of you, listen. You're training to fight as a phalanx, a unit where each man protects the man beside him. But the phalanx starts here, in this barracks. You learn to protect each other not just with shields and spears, but with words and loyalty and shared suffering. Theron showed you that tonight. Learn from it. Then he's gone, leaving you standing there in the moonlight, aware of all those eyes watching you. Alexios breaks the silence. Well? That could have gone much worse. A few boys laugh quietly, nervous laughter, relief that no one got beaten. The tension breaks and slowly everyone settles back onto their pallets. You make your way back to your own pallet, your feet throbbing. As you pass, some of the boys nod at you. Acknowledgement, respect. Philippos gives you a slight smile. You lie down, pulling the extra blanket over you. Your body is exhausted, crying out for more sleep, but your mind is racing. Leadership. Brasidas called it leadership. You've never thought of yourself that way. You're just surviving day by day, trying to endure whatever Sparta throws at you. But maybe that's what leadership is here. Not giving orders or commanding respect, but simply showing others that survival is possible, that the impossible can be endured. Theron. Alexios' voice from the next pallet, quiet enough that only you can hear. That was good, what you did. I didn't do anything, just talk to him. That's more than most would do, more than most would risk. He's quiet for a moment. You're changing. Since the mountain, you're, I don't know, harder but also softer somehow. Does that make sense? It does, actually. You feel it too, a strange contradiction. The mountain made you harder, colder, more capable of enduring pain. But it also showed you something about yourself, that cruelty isn't the same as strength, that showing mercy when you could show cruelty might be the truest test of power. Maybe, you say, the older boys are talking about you, saying you might make a good unit leader someday, after you complete training. That's years away. Still, they're saying it. Alexios shifts on his pallet. I'm glad you're here, glad you came back from the mountain. I know I said it before, but I mean it. This place would be worse without you. The words sit warm in your chest, precious in a way that food or sleep or comfort could never be. Because in Sparta, where everything is stripped away, family, softness, security, what remains is this, the bonds between boys who suffer together. Brotherhood forged in shared pain. Get some sleep, you tell him. Tomorrow's going to be terrible, I know. He's smiling, you can hear it in his voice. It's always terrible, that's the point. You close your eyes and let exhaustion begin to pull you down towards sleep. But just as you're drifting off, you hear movement, quiet footsteps approaching your pallet. You open your eyes to find 3 boys standing there, Nikolaos, Demetrios and Philippos. The 3 you fought in the sparring circle, plus the one who let you go in the ravine. What? You start. We wanted to say something, Nikolaos interrupts quietly. About today, the sparring, the hunt, all of it. You sit up, confused. Say what? That we were wrong, Demetrios says. Some of us thought, when you came back from the mountain, we thought maybe you'd gotten lucky. That maybe it wasn't as hard as the stories say. But watching you today, Philippos continues, fighting when you could barely stand, running on feet that should have had you screaming, refusing to quit even when every rational part of you must have been begging to stop. He trails off. We understand now what the mountain did to you, what it taught you. We're proud to train beside you, Nikolaos finishes, that's all. We just wanted you to know. They turn to leave, but you call out quietly, wait. They stop. Thank you, you say, and then, because it needs to be said, Philippos, in the ravine, during the hunt. His expression doesn't change, but you see understanding in his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, he says carefully. But there's the ghost of a smile on his face. After they leave, you lie back down. The barracks has settled again, everyone returning to sleep. But something has changed tonight. Some invisible boundary has been crossed. You're not just a boy who survived the mountain anymore. You're becoming something else. A leader, maybe, or just someone that others look to when they need to believe that survival is possible. The responsibility of it sits heavy on you, but not unpleasantly. Like your father's hunting cloak that Leontus mentioned, heavy but worn with pride. You're drifting towards sleep when you hear it, Kleitos' voice, barely audible from across the barracks. Thank you, Theron. You don't respond. Don't need to. The words are enough. Acknowledgement that tonight, in some small way, you made this brutal place a little more bearable for someone who needed it. Tomorrow will bring new trials, new pain, new tests designed to break you down and rebuild you into what Sparta demands. But tonight you rest, knowing that you're not just surviving for yourself anymore. You're surviving to show others that it can be done. And maybe that's what makes you Spartan. Not the ability to endure pain alone, but the ability to endure it together, to forge bonds that are stronger than the cruelty trying to break them. You close your eyes and sleep comes quickly, deep and dreamless. For once the wolves don't come, for once you simply rest. You wake to hands shaking you roughly. Up, now. Your eyes snap open, it's still dark, full night, not even a hint of dawn. Leontes stands over you and his expression tells you this isn't a normal wake-up call. All of you, up, he shouts to the barracks. Form up outside. You have 2 minutes. Confusion and fear ripple through the room. Middle-of-the-night drills are rare, but never good. They usually mean punishment or some special lesson that requires darkness and surprise. You force yourself to standing, your feet immediately protesting. The brief sleep has stiffened them, and the first few steps are agony. But you push through, joining the stream of boys heading for the door. Outside, the night air is cold and clear. Stars blaze overhead, and the moon has set, leaving only darkness. Other trainers are there, Brasidas and several you don't recognize. They carry torches that create pools of flickering light in the training yard. Your unit forms up quickly, 40 boys in neat ranks. You're still in your sleeping clothes, bare feet on cold-packed earth. Some of the younger boys are shivering, either from cold or fear. Leontes waits until everyone is assembled and silent. Then, tonight, you will learn about trust. The word hangs in the cold air like a threat. In battle, you must trust the man beside you with your life. You must know without doubt that he will hold his position, that his shield will protect you, that he will not break when the enemy charges. Leontes paces in front of the formation. But trust is not given freely in Sparta. It must be earned. Tested. Proven. He stops and looks directly at you. Theron, step forward. Your stomach drops. Of course this involves you. Everything seems to involve you lately. You step out of formation, standing alone before the assembled unit and trainers. Tonight, Leontes says, you proved you can survive alone, that you can stand without support, without help, without mercy. This is valuable, but it is not enough. He turns to address the whole unit. A Spartan who can only stand alone is a liability. In the phalanx, individualism gets everyone killed. You must learn not just to survive alone, but to trust others to help you survive. He gestures to Brasidas, who steps forward carrying something wrapped in cloth. When he unwraps it, you see wooden swords, training weapons, blunted but still capable of causing serious injury. Theron will stand here, Leontes says, pointing to a spot in the center of the yard. 3 of his unit brothers will attack him with these weapons. His task is simple. Trust that we will stop them before they cause serious injury. Do nothing to defend himself. Simply stand and trust. Ice floods your veins. This is the confrontation then, not with enemies, but with the concept of vulnerability, of deliberately making yourself defenseless. Sir, you start. This is not a request. You will stand and take no defensive action. If you move to defend yourself, if you raise your arms to block, if you dodge, the test fails and there will be consequences. He's asking you to stand still while 3 boys attack you with wooden weapons, to trust that someone will stop them. To be deliberately, completely vulnerable. Every instinct in your body screams against it. You've spent 7 years learning to defend yourself, to never show weakness, to never give an opponent an opening. Now he wants you to do the opposite. Choose your attackers, Leontes commands. You scan the assembled boys. Who do you choose? Friends who might pull their strikes, or enemies who will hit as hard as possible? Either choice is a test of them, of you, of the entire concept of trust. Alexios, you say, your closest friend, the one who has proven his loyalty. Demetrios, solid, methodical, not cruel. Philippos, the one who let you go in the ravine. 3 boys who have shown in various ways that they can be trusted. But can they be trusted to hit you? That's the real question. The 3 step forward and each takes a wooden sword from Brasidas. The weapons are heavy oak, worn smooth by years of use. You've been hit with them countless times in training. You know exactly how much they hurt. Theron, take your position, Leontes says. You walk to the center of the yard, your damaged feet leaving faint dark prints on the pale earth. The torchlight throws dancing shadows around you. 40 boys watch in absolute silence. You stop and stand straight, arms at your sides, vulnerable, exposed, every trained instinct screaming at you to protect yourself. When I give the signal, Leontus says, the 3 attackers will advance and strike. Theron will not defend himself. We will stop them when we judge he has endured enough. The lesson here is twofold. Theron learns to trust that he will not be killed. The attackers learn to trust that we will tell them when to stop, that they must follow orders even when aggression is in their blood. He raises his hand. The 3 boys spread out, forming a triangle around you with you at the centre. Alexios' face is troubled. Philippos looks uncertain. Demetrios is unreadable. Begin. They advance slowly, wooden swords raised. Your heart pounds. Your muscles tense, preparing to dodge, to block, to do something, anything to protect yourself. But you force yourself to remain still. Alexios reaches you first. He raises his sword, and you can see the conflict in his eyes. He's your friend, your brother. But he has orders. The sword comes down. You resist every urge to move, to raise your arms, to flinch away. The wood impacts your left shoulder with a crack that echoes across the yard. Pain explodes through your body, sharp and immediate. But you don't move. Don't cry out. Just stand there, breathing. Philippos is next, his strike catching your right side just below the ribs. The impact drives the air from your lungs. You see stars at the edges of your vision. Still, you don't move. Demetrios' strike hits your left thigh, the same leg already damaged from the mountain. You feel your knee buckle slightly, but lock it, forcing yourself to remain upright. Again, Leontus commands. 3 more strikes, 1 from each attacker. Shoulder, ribs, thigh. The same pattern, the same places, amplifying the pain. Your body is screaming at you to defend yourself, to stop this madness. But some deeper part of you understands what's happening. This isn't about the pain. It's about proving to yourself and to everyone watching that you can trust others to know when to stop, that you don't have to control everything. That vulnerability, in the right context with the right people, isn't weakness. Again. More strikes. Your shoulder is going numb. Your ribs feel like they might crack. Your leg is trembling, barely supporting your weight. But you stand. Stop! The command comes from Brasidas, not Leontus. The 3 attackers freeze, swords raised for another round of strikes. Enough, Brasidas says. He's proved the point. You sway on your feet, vision tunneling. Only stubbornness and the locked muscles of your legs keep you upright. Your body is a mass of pain, old injuries from the mountain mixing with fresh ones from the strikes. Leontus walks over to you slowly. How do you feel? I feel, you search for the words, like I should have defended myself, sir. But you didn't. Why? Because you told me to trust. And trust means accepting vulnerability. And do you trust that we stop them before causing permanent damage? You think about that. Your body is screaming, but nothing feels broken. Badly bruised, yes. Painful, certainly, but not destroyed. Yes, sir. Good. He turns to the 3 attackers. And you 3, how did it feel to strike your brother on command? Alexios answers, his voice strained. Wrong, sir. It felt wrong. Of course it did. Violence against your unit should feel wrong. But you must be able to do it when ordered, for punishment, for training, for discipline. The phalanx requires absolute obedience to command, even when those commands conflict with your feelings. He addresses the whole unit now. Tonight you've seen 2 lessons. Theron learned to trust, to be vulnerable and believe that we would protect him from serious harm. These 3 learn to follow orders even when those orders conflict with brotherhood. Both lessons are necessary. In battle you must trust your brothers to protect you, and you must be willing to enforce discipline on them when required. He pauses, then adds more quietly. But remember this, the trust works both ways. Theron trusted us to stop the strikes. We trusted him to endure without breaking. That mutual trust, that's the foundation of the phalanx. That's what makes Spartans unbreakable in battle. He waves a hand. Back to the barracks. Sleep. Morning drills in 3 hours. 3 hours. Barely any time at all. But that's intentional. Keep everyone off balance, exhausted, never quite recovered. That's when you learn what you're really made of. The boys file back toward the barracks. You try to walk normally, but your leg gives out after 3 steps. Alexios catches you before you fall. I'm sorry, he whispers as he helps you toward the building. I had to. I know, you cut him off. You followed orders. That's what we're supposed to do. But I hit you. Hard. Not as hard as you could have. You look at him. You held back a little, didn't you? He's silent for a moment. Maybe. A little. Thank you for that. Inside the barracks, he helps you to your pallet. Your body is beyond exhausted now, past pain, past tiredness, into some strange realm where you're not entirely sure you're real anymore. Everything has a distant, dreamlike quality. You need the healer, Alexios says, looking at your shoulder where the first strike landed. The flesh is already swelling, darkening with what will be an impressive bruise by morning. The healer said to rest for 3 days. I've had about 6 hours. You lie back on the pallet, every movement sending fresh pain through your battered body. I don't think more rest is what they have in mind for me. This is too much. Even for the agoge, you're going to break. Maybe, or maybe this is what it takes to forge whatever they're trying to make me into. Alexios sits beside your pallet, his expression troubled. Around you, the other boys are settling back to sleep, murmuring quietly about what they just witnessed. I wish, he trails off. Wish what? I wish there was a way to become strong without all this pain. Without breaking each other down, piece by piece. You think about that, about Kletos crying in the darkness, about the mountain and the wolves and the endless tests. About your own body, bearing layer upon layer of damage like rings in a tree, marking each year of training. Maybe there isn't, you say finally. Maybe strength only comes from being broken and choosing to heal. From being hurt and choosing to endure. Maybe that's the only way it works. That's a dark way to see the world. This is a dark world. We're training to kill people. There's no light way to do that. He's quiet for a long moment. Then, do you ever think about leaving, just running away in the night, finding some other life? Every day, you admit. Every single day. But you don't. No. Why? It's a simple question with a complicated answer. Because you'd be hunted down and killed or enslaved. Because there's nowhere else to go. Because this is the only life you've ever known, really. 7 years is longer than the vague memories of life before the agoge. But the real reason is harder to articulate. Because if I leave, I let them win. They tried to break me, the mountain, the wolves, the trainers, all of it. They tried to make me quit. And if I run away, that's quitting. That's admitting they were right, that I wasn't strong enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't Spartan enough. You pause. I won't give them that satisfaction. So you're staying out of spite? Maybe. Is that so bad? Alexios actually laughs quietly. No. I suppose spite is as good a reason as any. He stands, stretching. Get some sleep. The next 3 hours are all you're going to get. He returns to his own pallet, and you close your eyes. Your body is screaming, but exhaustion is stronger. You feel yourself sliding towards sleep, grateful for even a few hours of oblivion. Your last conscious thought is about trust. You stood there and let 3 boys hit you with wooden swords, trusting that someone would stop them before causing permanent damage. And they did stop them. The trust was honoured. Maybe that's the real lesson. Not that trust is easy, but that it's necessary. That you can't survive entirely alone no matter how strong you become. That sometimes vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the foundation of something stronger than individual power. Brotherhood. Unit cohesion. The phalanx. Or maybe you're too tired and battered to think clearly, and you're just making sense of pain that doesn't actually mean anything. Either way, sleep claims you. And for the second time tonight, mercifully, the wolves don't come. Chapter 7. Night Reflections. Blood and reflection, 3 hours pass like 3 heartbeats. You wake to rough hands shaking you, and for a disorienting moment you think you're back on the mountain, that the wolves have found you, that none of this, the return, the tests, the strange night lessons, was real. Up, a voice commands. Not Leontis this time, but one of the younger trainers whose name you don't know. Morning drills. Now. Around you the barracks erupts into movement. Boys stumbling from their pallets, pulling on training clothes, moving in the half-awake state that's become normal after years of interrupted sleep and brutal schedules. You try to sit up, and your body refuses. Every muscle has stiffened during those brief hours of sleep, locking into place around the damage. Your shoulder where Alexios struck you has swollen to the point where you can barely lift your arm. Your ribs scream with each breath. Your thigh is a solid mass of pain. And your feet, gods, your feet feel like they're on fire. I can't, you hear yourself say. The words come out without conscious thought, and immediately you want to take them back. I can't. The words that mean failure, that mean weakness, that mean you're not Spartan enough. But they're true. Your body has reached some limit you didn't know existed. You physically cannot stand. The trainer looks down at you, his expression unreadable in the pre-dawn darkness. Can't? You try again to sit up to prove the words wrong. Your body convulses with pain and you fall back, gasping. Stay there, the trainer says, and walks away. You lie there, shame burning hotter than the pain. Around you, the other boys are filing out to morning drills. Some glance at you with concern, others with relief. Better you than them. Alexios pauses beside your pallet, his face troubled. Should I stay? He asks quietly. No. Go. Don't get in trouble for me. He hesitates, then nods and follows the others out. You're left alone in the dim barracks, listening to the sounds of the unit forming up outside, Leontis's voice barking orders, the familiar rhythm of morning training starting without you. This is it then. You've finally broken. After the mountain, the boar, the wolves, the 40 hunters, the sparring circle, the trust exercise. After all of that, your body has simply given up. Sparta has no use for broken weapons. Footsteps approach. You expect the trainer, or maybe Leontis, coming to pass judgment on your failure. Instead, it's the old healer, Theron, carrying his bag of supplies and wearing an expression of deep irritation. Idiots, he mutters, kneeling beside your pallet. Absolute idiots. I told them 3 days of rest. 3 days. Do they listen? Of course not. He begins examining you with rough but practiced hands. Let me see the damage. He checks your shoulder first, prodding the swollen flesh and making disapproving sounds. Then your ribs, your thigh, finally your feet. When he unwraps the bandages, his expression darkens further. The infection is spreading. See these red streaks? That's poison travelling through your blood. Another day or two without proper treatment and you'll lose the feet. Maybe die. He looks up at you with fierce eyes. Did they tell you not to walk on these? Yes. And did you listen? I had duties. Duties. He spits the word. Your duty is to survive to become a warrior. Can't fight if you're dead from infection. Can't hold a shield if you have no feet. He begins applying fresh poultices to your wounds, his movements short despite his anger. But no one thinks about that. They just push and push and push until boys break. Are you going to report me, you ask? Tell them I can't continue. He's quiet for a moment, working on your feet. The medicine burns fiercely, but you barely feel it beneath the larger pain. That depends, he says finally. Do you want to continue? The question catches you off guard. No one has ever asked what you want. You're a tool being forged, shaped according to Sparta's needs. Your wants don't enter into it. I don't know, you admit. And then, more honestly, my body says no. Everything else, I don't know. Everything else meaning your pride, your stubbornness, your need to prove something. Maybe all of that. He finishes with your feet and moves to your shoulder, applying a thick paste that smells of herbs and something sharp. I've been the agoge healer for 30 years. I've seen hundreds of boys come through. Some make it, some don't. The ones who don't, it's not always because they're weak. Sometimes it's because they're pushed past what flesh and bone can endure. Are you saying I should quit? I'm saying your body needs rest. Real rest. Not 3 hours between beatings. A week, minimum. 2 would be better. He wraps your shoulder in cloth, binding it tightly. I'm going to tell Leontis that you're not fit for training, that you need recovery time. Panic flares in your chest. No. Please. If you do that, if I do that, you might actually heal. Might actually survive to see your 13th winter. He studies your face. What are you afraid of? That they'll dismiss you from the agoge? That they'll call you weak? Both. Either. I don't know. You try to find the words. If I stop now, if I rest while the others continue training, I'll fall behind. And falling behind means failing. And failing means you're not Spartan enough, he finishes. Yes, I know. I hear it every time a boy breaks down crying because he can't meet some impossible standard. He sits back on his heels. Let me tell you something about Sparta that they don't teach in the training yard. This city has stood for hundreds of years not because every single warrior was perfect, but because we're smart enough to know when to push and when to let something heal. A sword that's heated too long in the forge becomes brittle. Breaks on the first strike. You're being overheated, boy. You need time to cool and temper properly. But Leontus, let me worry about Leontus. I outrank him in medical matters, and he knows it. The healer stands, his old joints creaking. You'll stay here today. Rest. I'll bring food and water. Tomorrow we'll see how you are. And if I'm still broken tomorrow, then you rest another day, and another, until you're not broken anymore. He picks up his bag. Strength isn't just about enduring pain, Theron. Sometimes it's about being smart enough to know when your body needs recovery. The mountain didn't kill you. The wolves didn't kill you. Don't let stubborn pride finish what they couldn't. He leaves, and you're alone again with your thoughts and your pain. The morning drills continue outside. You can hear shouting, the clash of wooden weapons, the rhythmic chanting that accompanies formation practice, your unit training without you, getting stronger while you lie here useless. The shame is almost worse than the physical pain. You drift in and out of consciousness as the morning passes. The fever makes time strange. Hours compress and expand. Reality blurs with dreams. You see the mountain again, the wolves circling. But this time when they attack, you can't move. Your body won't respond. You just stand there while teeth tear into flesh. Theron! You jerk awake, gasping. Brasidas stands beside your pallet, his scarred face impassive as always. How long has he been there? What did you say in your fever dreams? Sir, you manage, trying to sit up. Your body protests, but you force it, unwilling to look weak in front of him. The healer says you need rest. I'm fine, sir. I can train. The healer, Brasidas continues, as if you hadn't spoken, also says you have an infection that could kill you if not properly treated. That your body has been pushed past sustainable limits. He sits on the edge of the pallet next to yours, the wood creaking. Tell me what you're feeling. And I want truth, not what you think I want to hear. You're silent for a moment, trying to sort through the tangle of emotions. I feel like I'm failing, you say finally. Like everything I survived on the mountain doesn't matter because I can't even handle a few training exercises. A few training exercises, Brasidas repeats. You survived the krypteia, fought a boar, evaded 40 hunters, fought 3 opponents while barely able to stand, endured a trust exercise that would have broken most boys. And you think you're failing because your body finally reached its limits? Yes. Why? Because you struggle with the words. Because Sparta doesn't care about limits. We're supposed to push past them, supposed to be stronger than human. That's the whole point. No, Brasidas says firmly. That's not the point. The point is to forge warriors who are as smart as they are strong. Warriors who know their capabilities and their limits. Warriors who can push when pushing is needed, but who also know when rest and recovery are the tactical choice. He pauses. A warrior who drives himself to death through pride is just as useless as one who quits through cowardice. But the others didn't just survive the krypteia. They're not carrying the same load you are. Different boys, different circumstances, different trials. He looks at you steadily. You think you're the only one who's ever needed recovery time. I spent a week in the healer's care after my krypteia. Infection from a wolf bite nearly killed me. I thought I was failing too, thought I was weak. You stare at him. Brasidas scarred, legendary Brasidas who survived countless battles, nearly killed by infection after his trial. It seems impossible. What changed your mind, you ask? My trainer at the time, he told me that surviving isn't just about one moment of glory, it's about the long campaign, about being alive and functional for the battles that matter. He gestures at you. You're 12 winters old. You have years of training ahead, and then decades of warfare after that. If you destroy your body now trying to prove something, you won't make it to the real fights. Is that what you want? To be remembered as the boy who survived the mountain but killed himself with pride? No. Then rest. Heal. Come back stronger. He stands. I'll handle Leontus. You focus on recovery. Sir, can I ask you something? Yes. The krypteia. The mountain. Was it? You struggled to articulate the question. Was it supposed to teach me something specific, or is it just another test to survive? Brasidas is quiet for a long moment, his eyes distant. The mountain teaches different lessons to different boys. For some, it's about survival skills. For others, about self-reliance. For you, he looks back at you, I think it taught you that you're stronger than you knew. But also that strength alone isn't enough. You need intelligence, adaptability, and yes, the wisdom to know when to rest. He starts toward the door, then pauses. One more thing. What you did last night, talking to Taygetus, that took a different kind of courage than facing wolves, the courage to be gentle in a place that punishes gentleness. Don't lose that. Sparta needs warriors who can be both hard and human. He leaves, and you're alone again. The day passes slowly. The healer returns periodically to check your wounds, bring water and thin gruel. He doesn't say much, just works efficiently and leaves. Outside, you hear the rhythms of training, morning drills giving way to weapons practice, then afternoon exercises, then evening meal. You sleep fitfully, your body cycling through pain and fever, and brief periods of relief when the medicine does its work. In your waking moments you think about what Brasidas said, about long campaigns and choosing your battles, about being both hard and human. It's getting dark outside, evening settling over the barracks, when Alexios appears with food, real food this time, not gruel, bread and cheese and dried meat. "Where did you get this?" you ask as he sets it beside your pallet. "Stole it from the trainer's stores." Philippos was the lookout. He grins slightly. "Don't worry, we didn't get caught. We've learned from the best. You eat slowly, and the food is better than anything you can remember. Or maybe you're just starving. Either way, it helps." The fever seems to ease slightly, the pain dulls to a more manageable level. "How was training, you ask?" "Brutal. Leontas worked us twice as hard, probably to make up for you not being there." Alexios stretches, his own muscles obviously sore. "But he didn't mention you, didn't mock you or call you weak, just trained us hard and said nothing." That's almost worse than mockery. Silence from Leontas could mean anything, that you're not worth mentioning, that he's disappointed, that you've been written off as a failure. Or it could mean he's given you space to recover, trusting the healer's judgment. You don't know which interpretation is correct. "The others are talking," Alexios continues, "about everything you've done the past few days. Some think you're crazy. Some think you're the toughest boy in the agoge. Most think both." He's quiet for a moment. "They're saying you might not make it. That you pushed too hard, broke something that can't be fixed. What do you think?" "I think..." He chooses his words carefully. "I think you're stubborn enough to survive anything. But I also think Brasidas is right. You need to rest. Actually rest, not just sleep for a few hours between tests. I don't know how to rest, you admit. I've been in the agoge for 7 years. Rest isn't something we do. Then learn. Consider it another skill to master." He stands, preparing to leave. "I'll bring more food tomorrow, and water. The good kind from the office as well, not the stale stuff we usually get." "Alexios, yeah? Thank you, for everything. For the food, for earlier when I asked you to hit me, for just..." You trail off, not sure how to articulate it. "For being your brother," he finishes. "That's what we do. We survive together." After he leaves, you lie there in the darkness, thinking about brotherhood, about trust, about the strange bonds that form between boys who suffer together. The barracks fills slowly as evening gives way to night. Boys returning from final drills, washing at the communal basins, settling onto their pallets. The usual pre-sleep routine. Some glance at you with curiosity or concern, but most are too exhausted to care. Taygetus approaches hesitantly the young boy from last night. "Are you okay?" he asks quietly. "I will be. I heard you got hurt during the trust exercise." He looks troubled. "Was that my fault? Because I was crying and you helped me?" "No. That was just..." You search for the words. "That was just more training. Not your fault." "Oh." He's quiet for a moment. "I did the extra duties today, the ones Brasidas assigned. They were hard, but I didn't cry. I thought about what you said. About building strength one day at a time. Something warm settles in your chest. This small boy learning to endure because of words you spoke in the darkness. Maybe that matters more than any test you've passed." "Good," you tell him. "Keep doing that. Keep surviving, one day at a time." He nods and returns to his pallet. Around you, the barracks settles into night sounds, breathing, shifting, someone muttering in their sleep. You close your eyes and let your mind drift. The fever has broken somewhat, leaving you feeling hollowed out but more clear-headed than before. Your body still hurts, gods, everything hurts, but it's a pain you can live with. A pain that will heal, given time, and you have time, days of it, according to the healer, days to do nothing but rest and recover and think. What do you think about when you're not focused on survival? When the immediate threat is gone and you're left alone with yourself, you think about your mother, that vague memory of warmth and softness. Where is she now? Does she ever wonder about the boy she gave to Sparta? Does she know what they've made of you? You think about your father, even more distant in memory, a shadow of a man who taught you something once, how to track maybe, or how to be quiet in the woods. The details are gone, leaving only the impression of a lesson learned. You think about the mountain, the wolves, the moments when death felt so close you could almost touch it. How strange that those moments of terror have become. What? Proud memories? Proof of something? You think about Alexios and Philippos and the others, these boys who are more family now than your blood family ever was. About Brasidas and his scars and his unexpected gentleness beneath the hard exterior. About Leontus and his impossible standards that somehow forge boys into warriors. You think about Klytos crying in the darkness and wonder if that will be his defining memory of the agoge knot, the pain or the tests, but someone offering comfort when comfort was forbidden. You think about trust and how it felt to stand there taking blows without defending yourself. How terrifying and necessary that was. How it revealed something about vulnerability that you're still trying to understand. Mostly, though, you think about the question Brasidas asked, what did the mountain teach you? You thought you knew the answer. Self-reliance, strength, the ability to endure anything. But maybe it taught you something else too. Maybe it taught you that surviving alone is possible, but surviving together is better. That asking for help, like the healer's treatment, like Alexios' stolen food, like Brasidas' wisdom, isn't weakness. It's intelligence. Maybe it taught you that being Spartan doesn't mean being inhuman. It means being human enough to care about the boys beside you, while being hard enough to function when caring would be a liability. Maybe it taught you that life is a series of choices about when to push and when to rest, when to stand alone and when to accept support, when to be hard and when to allow yourself moments of softness. Or maybe you're overthinking everything because you're feverish and injured and have nothing to do but lie here and let your mind wander. Either way, sleep is coming. You can feel it pulling at you, gentle and inexorable. Your last conscious thought is about tomorrow. What will it bring? More rest? A new test? Will your body heal, or will the infection spread despite the healer's treatment? You don't know, can't know. All you can do is what you've done every day for 7 years, wake up and face whatever comes. Survive it, learn from it, become a little harder, a little stronger, a little more of what Sparta demands. One day at a time, one impossible day at a time. Deep in the night you wake again, not to voices or hands shaking you, but to a profound silence. The barracks is absolutely still. Even the usual sounds of breathing seem muted, distant. For a disorienting moment you think you're back on the mountain, alone in the vast quiet of the wilderness. Then you realize you're not alone. Someone is sitting beside your pallet. You turn your head, the movement sending sparks of pain through your damaged shoulder, and see a figure silhouetted against the faint starlight coming through the high windows. Leontus. Your heart kicks with sudden fear. What does he want? Has he come to pass judgment on your failure? To tell you that you're dismissed from the agoge? That you've proven yourself unworthy? But he doesn't speak immediately. Just sits there in silence, his presence steady and somehow less threatening than you'd expect. After a long moment he finally says, "You're awake." "Yes, sir." More silence. "Then I came to check on you." The healer says you're healing, but slowly. "I'm sorry, sir, for being unable to train, for being weak." Weak. He repeats the word like he's tasting it, testing its truth. "Is that what you think this is? Weakness? I couldn't stand, sir. Couldn't complete morning drills. That's the definition of weakness." "No!" His voice is firm in the darkness. "That's the definition of human. Even the strongest bow will break if bent too far." That doesn't make the bow weak, it makes whoever bent it foolish. You don't know what to say to that. Leontus, stern, brutal Leontus, admitting that maybe you were pushed too far. I've been training boys for 15 years, he continues. I've seen hundreds come through the agoge. Do you know what separates the ones who become great warriors from the ones who merely survive the training? No, sir. Judgment, the ability to know when to push and when to recover. When to stand alone and when to rely on your unit. When to be hard and when to be human. He pauses. You've shown remarkable strength these past days, but you've also shown something more valuable. The willingness to be vulnerable when necessary. To trust. To help others even when helping them puts you at risk. He shifts position and you hear his joints crack. The mountain was supposed to teach you self-reliance. But what you learned, what you've shown in everything since, is that true strength includes knowing when to accept help. That's a lesson some warriors never learn. They die alone on battlefields, too proud to call for support. Are you saying I did the right thing by breaking? I'm saying your body reached its limits and you acknowledged that reality instead of denying it until you died. Yes, that's the right thing. He stands slowly. Rest, heal, come back when you're ready. We need you functional for the long campaign, not destroyed for short-term pride. He starts to leave, then stops. Theron, one more thing. What you did with Kletos, talking to him in the night. I heard about it from Brasidas. Your stomach drops. So he does know. And now comes the punishment. That was good leadership, Leontus says. Recognizing when a brother needs support and providing it despite the risk to yourself. That's the kind of warrior who makes a difference in battle. The kind who holds the phalanx together when things get desperate. And then he's gone, his footsteps fading into the darkness. You lie there, processing what just happened. Leontus, hard, unforgiving Leontus, came to check on you in the middle of the night, told you that breaking was acceptable, praised you for helping Kletos. The world has tilted on its axis somehow. Everything you thought you understood about Sparta, about the agoge, about what makes someone strong, it's all more complicated than you realized. Maybe that's the real lesson of these impossible days. Not that you need to be unbreakable, but that you need to understand the difference between breaking and bending, between weakness and wisdom, between giving up and strategic retreat. You close your eyes again, and this time, when sleep comes, it's deep and peaceful. The wolves don't come. The mountain doesn't call. You simply rest, your body beginning the slow work of healing, your mind beginning to understand that survival isn't just about enduring pain. It's about knowing when to be hard and when to be human. And maybe, just maybe, being both is what makes you truly Spartan. Chapter 8. Dawn. Return becoming Spartan. You wake to the sound of rain. Not the violent storms you've endured during mountain exercises, but a gentle, steady rain that patters against the barracks roof and runs in quiet streams down the walls. The sound is soothing, almost peaceful, rare in a place where peace is neither taught nor encouraged. You lie still for a moment, taking inventory. Your body still hurts, but differently now. The sharp, screaming pain has dulled to a persistent ache. Your shoulder moves when you test it, though stiffly. Your ribs expand with each breath without the stabbing sensation that made breathing an ordeal. Your feet, you flex them carefully. The feet feel almost normal. Still tender, still scarred, but functional. 3 days have passed since you collapsed. 3 days of rest, of the healer's treatments, of sleeping more than you've slept in years. 3 days of watching your unit train without you, of lying in the barracks listening to their drills and exercises and knowing you're not part of it. But today you woke before the morning horn. Your body woke you naturally, ready to move, ready to function. Today you return. The barracks is still dark, most of the boys deep in sleep. You sit up slowly, testing each movement. Everything protests, but nothing refuses. You stand, putting weight carefully on your feet. The bandages are clean. You changed them last night following the healer's instructions, and they hold. You can walk. You can stand. You can train. You make your way quietly to the washing basins, using the pre-dawn darkness to clean yourself properly for the first time in days. The cold water is shocking but cleansing. You scrub away sweat and medicine residue, feeling more human with each handful of water. When you return to your pallet to dress, you find Alexios awake, watching you. "You're up early," he says quietly. "So are you." "Couldn't sleep." "Kept thinking about today." He sits up, rubbing his face. "The healer cleared you for training?" "He said I could try. If anything reopens or starts bleeding, I have to stop immediately. Will you?" "Stop? I mean, if you need to?" "It's a fair question. 3 days ago you would have pushed through anything, ignored any warning sign, driven yourself to destruction rather than admit weakness. But 3 days of forced rest have given you time to think, to understand what Brasidas and Leontus were trying to teach you. Yes, you say, I'll stop if I need to. There's no glory in permanent injury." Alexios smiles slightly. "The mountain changed you. The mountain, the rest, all of it. You start wrapping your feet carefully, using the technique the healer taught you. I'm still figuring out what that means." "Well, whatever it means, I'm glad you're back." "Training has been," he trails off. "Harder without me there to share the suffering?" "Something like that." He stands and begins his own morning preparations. "Leontus has been intense." "Like he's making up for the 3 days we weren't being tested as a complete unit. I think half of us have new bruises." The morning horn sounds, cutting through the grey dawn. Around you the barracks erupts into controlled chaos. Boys moving efficiently through their routines, years of training making the morning ritual automatic. You join the flow, moving to your position in formation. It feels strange and right simultaneously. Strange because 3 days away felt like an eternity. Right because this is where you belong. With your unit, with your brothers. Outside the rain has lightened to a drizzle. The training yard is slick with mud, puddles forming in the low spots. The 40 boys of your unit form up in neat ranks, steam rising from their bodies in the cool morning air. Leontus stands before you, Brasidas and the other trainers flanking him. His eyes scan the formation and pause when they reach you. For a long moment he just looks at you, his expression unreadable. Then he nods once. A tiny gesture that might mean approval or acknowledgement or simply awareness that you've returned. "Today," Leontus begins, his voice carrying clearly across the yard, "we train in the rain. In battle, the weather doesn't stop for your comfort. The enemy doesn't wait for sunny days. You fight when and where you must, in whatever conditions exist." He pauses and his eyes find you again. "Some of you have been absent from training. Today we discover if the rest has made you soft, or if you've used the time to actually heal and return stronger. It's the closest thing to acknowledgement you'll get. No welcome back. No direct mention of your trial or your injury. Just the expectation that you'll perform, that you'll prove the rest was worth it." "Formation drills," Leontus commands. "Shield work. We start light and build intensity. Move." The unit breaks and moves to collect practice shields from the equipment racks. The shields are wood and bronze, heavy enough to build strength, but lighter than the true battle shields you'll carry someday. You lift yours and feel the familiar weight settle on your left arm. Your shoulder protests immediately, a deep ache that speaks of damaged tissue not quite healed. But it holds. The shield stays up. "Phalanx formation," Brasidas calls out. Tight spacing. Shields overlapping. You move into position, your shield edge finding the right spot against Alexios's shield to your left, another boy's shield overlapping yours to your right. The formation knocks together like a wall, each shield supporting the next, each warrior protecting his brother. This is what Sparta builds, not individual heroes, but a unified wall of bronze and flesh that moves as one entity. "Forward march," Leontus commands. The formation moves, 40 boys stepping in perfect unison. Left foot, then right. Shields up, maintaining overlap. The rain makes the ground treacherous, mud sucking at your feet, but the formation holds. Your feet hurt with each step, but the pain is manageable. The bandages and the healer's training in proper wrapping are doing their job. You can function. "Faster," Leontus calls. Battle pace. The formation accelerates, transitioning from a march to a shuffling run. The shields bang together with each step, creating a wall of sound and bronze. Your breath comes harder, your shoulders screaming with the effort of keeping the shield steady. But you don't falter, don't slow. You match the pace, staying in perfect synchronization with your brothers. Shield bash drill, Brasidas orders. Front rank, strike forward. Back rank, brace them. You're in the second rank, not the front line, but the support that gives the front line their power. When the command comes, you plant your feet and drive forward, adding your weight and strength to the boy in front of you. The entire front rank surges forward as one, shields slamming into imaginary enemies. Again, and again, and again. The drill continues, building in intensity, testing endurance and coordination. The rain picks up, making everything slippery. A boy 2 positions down from you loses his footing and falls, breaking the formation. Again, Leontes barks. From the beginning, if one man falls, everyone falls. That's how the phalanx dies. The fallen boy scrambles back into position, shame burning on his face. The formation resets and the drill continues. Hours pass. The rain never stops. The drills never stop. Shield work transitions to spear work, then to unarmed combat, then back to formation drills. Your body protests every movement, but you've learned to function through protest. 3 days of rest have given you just enough recovery to endure this, though barely. By midday, when Leontes finally calls a halt for the meal break, you're soaked through, covered in mud and trembling with exhaustion, but you're standing. You completed every drill, matched every pace. You survived your first day back. The afternoon brings individual combat training. You're paired with Demetrios, the methodical fighter who struck you during the trust exercise. There's no acknowledgement of that night, no apology, no reference to it at all. That's the Spartan way. What's done is done. You move forward. You face each other in the training circle, wooden swords in hand. The rain has turned the circle into a mud pit, making footing treacherous. Begin, Brasidas commands. Demetrios attacks immediately, his sword coming in high. You block, your damaged shoulder screaming with the impact. The force of the blow drives you back a step, your feet sliding in the mud. He presses the advantage, striking again, forcing you to defend. Your body is too tired, too damaged to mount an effective offense. You can only block, deflect, retreat. A third strike gets through your guard, catching your already bruised ribs. The impact drives the air from your lungs and sends you to one knee in the mud. Up, Brasidas says. Not cruel, just matter of fact. Fight. You force yourself up, raising your sword. Demetrios is already coming at you again. This time you try to dodge instead of block, but your feet slip and you go down hard on your back, mud splashing up around you. Demetrios' wooden blade stops just short of your throat. Dead, Brasidas announces. Again. Reset. You pull yourself up, mud coating your back and legs. Your body is begging you to stop, to ask for mercy, to admit you're not ready for this. But you raise your sword and face Demetrios again. The bout continues. You last longer this time before he puts you down, maybe 20 exchanges instead of 10. Then again, and again. Each time you rise a little slower, fight a little weaker. On the 5th bout, something changes. Maybe it's muscle memory finally overriding pain, or maybe your exhausted body just stops feeling the damage. But suddenly, you're not just defending, you're attacking. Your sword comes in low, forcing Demetrios to adjust his stance. While he's off balance, you pivot and strike high. He blocks, but barely. You press forward, driving him back, your wooden blade a blur of motion. For just a moment, you're not the injured boy struggling to keep up. You're the warrior you're being forged into, fast, relentless, dangerous. Then your feet slip in the mud and you're down again, and Demetrios' blade is at your throat. But Brasidas is smiling. Just slightly, but it's there. Better, he says. You found your rhythm. That's what we're looking for. The ability to push past pain and fatigue to find the warrior underneath. Again. The training continues until the sun begins its descent toward evening. By the time Leontes calls the final halt, you can barely stand. Your clothes are more mud than cloth. Your body has moved beyond pain into a strange numbness. But you made it. Completed your first full day back with the unit. Evening meal is the usual thin fare, but it tastes better than it has any right to. You eat slowly, savouring each bite, aware that your body desperately needs fuel to repair itself. Kletos approaches your table hesitantly. He's gotten a little less soft in the days since you spoke to him, his face leaner, his posture straighter. The agoge is already beginning its work on him. You came back, he says simply. I said I would. I thought. He trails off, then starts again. When you were gone for 3 days, some of the boys said you wouldn't return, that you were too broken, that the mountain had destroyed you. The mountain tried, you admit? But trying and succeeding are different things. He nods slowly, processing that. I wanted to thank you for what you said. About strength building one day at a time. It helped. During the extra duties, during the hard moments, I remembered. Good. Keep remembering. It only gets harder from here. I know. He hesitates, then adds quietly, but at least I know it's possible now, because you did it. You survived impossible things and came back. After he leaves, Alexios leans closer. You're becoming something of a legend among the younger boys. The boy who survived the mountain. They talk about you when they think we can't hear. That's stupid. Everyone survives the krypteia, or dies trying. I'm not special. But you survived it and then kept going. Kept pushing through injury and pain and impossible tests. That's what they're talking about, not just the survival, but what came after. He pauses. You're showing them what's possible. That's worth something. You don't know what to say to that. You never intended to be an example of anything. You were just trying to survive, to not quit, to prove to yourself more than anyone that you could endure whatever Sparta demanded. But maybe that's exactly what makes you an example. Not trying to be heroic, just refusing to be broken. The evening settles into familiar routines. Weapon maintenance, checking gear, the quiet conversations that happen in the liminal space between training and sleep. You sit on your pallet, carefully rewrapping your feet with fresh bandages. The wounds are healing well. The healer was right about the treatment. As you work, boys from your unit drift by. No grand speeches or emotional declarations, that's not the Spartan way. Just small gestures. Philippos drops an extra piece of dried fruit beside you without comment. Nikolaos gives you a nod that might mean respect or just acknowledgement. Demetrios pauses to say, "Good fight today." You almost had me. These small moments of brotherhood, more valuable than gold in a place that tries to strip away all connection. Brasidas appears in the barracks doorway as night fully settles. Theron. Outside. Now. Your stomach tightens. Have you done something wrong? Failed some test you didn't know you were taking. You follow him out into the cool night air. The rain has stopped, leaving everything wet and clean smelling. Stars are beginning to appear between the clouds. Brasidas leads you away from the barracks toward the edge of the training complex. When you're far enough that no one will overhear, he stops and turns to face you. "I've been watching you," he says without preamble. "Today, these past weeks, all of it." "Yes, sir. You're changing, growing into something beyond just another trainee." He pauses. "Tell me, what do you think makes someone Spartan? Not just someone trained here, but truly Spartan." It's the kind of question trainers ask when they're testing your understanding of deeper principles. You think carefully before answering. Strength, you start. The ability to endure pain and hardship. Many people can endure pain. That's not unique to Sparta. Discipline, then. Following orders without question. Slaves follow orders without question. That's not what I'm asking about. You think harder, reaching for something beyond the obvious answers. It's about being part of something larger than yourself. The phalanx, the unit, Sparta itself. Knowing that your individual survival matters less than the survival of your brothers. That's what makes the formation work, everyone willing to hold their position even if it costs them everything. Brasidas nods slowly. Closer. But there's more. He looks up at the stars for a moment. I've seen many warriors in my time. Some were strong, some were brave, some followed orders perfectly. But the ones who truly embodied Sparta, the ones who made the difference in impossible battles, they all had something in common. What, sir? They understood that being Spartan isn't about being unbreakable. It's about breaking and then choosing to stand anyway. About feeling fear and fighting anyway. About being hurt and continuing anyway. He looks back at you. Perfect weapons don't exist. But warriors who refuse to give up, who adapt, who endure, who find ways to keep fighting even when every rational part of them is screaming to quit. Those are the ones who hold the line when everyone else falls. He places a hand on your shoulder, the damaged one, but gently. You've shown that quality these past weeks, not just surviving the krypteia, but in how you handled everything after. The way you helped Klytos, The way you accepted vulnerability during the trust exercise. The way you acknowledged your limits and took time to heal instead of destroying yourself with pride. I thought acknowledging limits was weakness, sir. Only fools think that. A warrior who doesn't know his limits dies in his first real battle. A warrior who knows his limits and works within them, or pushes past them when truly necessary. That's someone who survives the long campaign. He removes his hand from your shoulder. I'm recommending you for advanced training next year. Early promotion to the next phase of the agoge. Leontis agrees. You've proven yourself ready. Your breath catches. Advanced training, that's for the best of the best, the boys who show exceptional promise. It means harder tests, yes, but also recognition that you're on the path to becoming not just a warrior, but a leader. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep being both hard and human. Keep showing the younger boys what's possible. He starts to walk back toward the barracks, then adds over his shoulder, and keep listening to the healers when they tell you to rest. Smart warriors live to fight another day. You return to the barracks feeling lighter somehow, despite the exhaustion weighing down your limbs. Advanced training. Recognition that you're becoming something more than just another boy struggling through the agoge. Alexios looks up as you enter. What did Brasidas want? To talk about training, you say carefully. You'll tell him about the advancement later, in private. For now, it's enough to know. You settle onto your pallet, every muscle in your body aching. Tomorrow will bring more drills, more tests, more pain. That's guaranteed. But tonight, for just this moment, you can rest knowing that you're on the right path. Around you, the barracks settles into sleep. The familiar sounds, breathing, shifting, the occasional murmur, more comforting than any softer bed could be. This is home now, more truly than anywhere else. These boys are your family, bound together by shared suffering and small acts of mercy. You close your eyes and let sleep begin to claim you. Your last conscious thoughts are about the mountain, about how far you've come since that dawn when Leontis called your name and sent you into the wilderness alone. You left the barracks as a boy trying to survive. You're returning as something more, a warrior in the making, understanding finally what it means to be Spartan, not perfect, not unbreakable, but refusing to quit. Adapting. Enduring. Standing with your brothers when standing seems impossible. The journey isn't over. You have years of training ahead, battles to fight, tests to pass, but you've crossed some invisible threshold these past weeks. You've proven to yourself more than anyone that you have what it takes. Not just to survive, but to become what Sparta needs. A warrior who is both hard and human. A weapon who thinks. A man who can stand alone but chooses to stand with others. Dawn comes too soon, as it always does. But this time, when the morning horn sounds, you wake without dread. Your body still hurts, probably will hurt for months as it fully heals. But you can function through the pain. You've learned that lesson well. You rise with the others, moving through the morning routine with practiced efficiency. Outside, another grey dawn is breaking, clouds threatening more rain. The training yard awaits, muddy and treacherous and promising new tests of strength and will. You take your position in formation, feeling the familiar weight of your place in the unit. Alexios to your left, Demetrios to your right, 40 boys locked together like links in a chain. Leontis stands before you, his scarred face impassive as always. But when his eyes meet yours, there's something there that might be approval. Or perhaps just recognition that you passed through fire and emerged tempered rather than destroyed. Today, he announces, we train for war. The words hang in the dawn air, heavy with promise and threat. This is what everything has been building toward. The mountain, the wolves, the endless drills and brutal tests, all of it preparing you for this. For the real work of being Spartan. Begin, Leontis commands. The formation moves as one, shields up, feet finding their rhythm on the muddy ground. You move with them, part of the greater whole, your individual pain and struggle absorbed into the unified purpose of the phalanx. This is what it means to be Spartan. Not standing alone on a mountain, but standing together in formation. Not surviving through individual strength alone, but through the bonds of brotherhood that make 40 boys stronger than the sum of their parts. You've learned this lesson in blood and pain and moments of terrifying vulnerability. You've learned it through 3 days of forced rest and small acts of mercy and conversations in the darkness with boys who needed to hear that survival is possible. The mountain taught you that you can endure alone. Everything since has taught you that you don't have to. As the formation drills through the grey morning, as the rain begins to fall again and the mud sucks at your feet and your body protests every movement, you find yourself almost smiling. This is hard. This will always be hard. That's the point. But you're not alone in the hardness. 40 boys surround you, suffering the same pain, enduring the same tests, becoming warriors together. And that brotherhood forged in shared suffering, that's what makes you truly Spartan. Not the ability to survive alone, but the wisdom to survive together. Not being unbreakable, but being willing to break and stand anyway. Not perfection, but the relentless refusal to quit. One impossible day at a time, you're becoming what Sparta demands. And somehow, impossibly, you're discovering that you want to become it. Not because you have no choice, though that's true, but because these boys beside you, these brothers in blood and mud and suffering, they deserve a warrior who won't let them down. So you hold your position in the formation, shields locked, feet finding their rhythm, and you endure. Because that's what Spartans do. They endure, together, always together. And in that unity, that refusal to let your brothers fight alone, you find something that makes the pain and fear and endless tests bearable. Purpose, brotherhood, home. The rain falls harder, the drills continue, and you march forward into the grey dawn, becoming, one brutal moment at a time, exactly what you're meant to be, Spartan.